Big killer. Beat in the hood.
What it good be, hope it's what it should be. This is your boy N.O.R.E.
What up, it's DJ EFN.
And this is Drink Chance motherfucking Yappy Hour. Make some noise! And there's very few times where, like, you know, I want to stand behind something. I want to be there. I want to, like, you know what I'm saying? I want to, like, physically, you know, stand behind this. So when I look at these three people that's here, they're from three different walks of life, but they came together under one thing. And it's under, you know, the opposite of self-destruction, the thing to big our people up. I see them worldwide, state to state, you know, fighting for our people. You know, two of them is rappers, one is just, I believe, an activist is what you call it. And what they do and how they do it, they making us look good, because so many times you've seen people in the past and these people would act like they're holier than thou, or they would, and it'd be like the protesters or the people that are standing on the ground you can't relate to sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, all right, cool, damn, man, the preacher man, like, he make me feel like, but these people that standing in front of me is an organization, is people that I want to support. I seen them the other day and I was like, yo, there's no way I can't let y'all leave like without we getting this done. You know, they went back to New York, and then they said we're even coming back with Trae. So in case you don't know what we're talking about the motherfucking Honorable Mysonne, Trae the motherfucking truth, and Tamika Mallory. Now, I'm gonna set it off and to say how much I'm gonna relate it to myself, right? When I was coming up, Christianity was very, very popular, right? And then I would see a preacher, and then the preacher would be buying pieces on the law. Like, he would be buying crack and shit. I'm like, I don't feel, Mr. Daniels. But Mr. Daniels, and Mr. Daniels, the reason why he couldn't relate is because Mr. Daniels was acting holier than thou, and then he couldn't actually be human. So then it was a culture that came along. It was called 5% Nation, right? And the 5% was like, yo, we're normal people, but we make mistakes. And it somewhat brung the youth to follow that. How did we go from that to where we are now in the hood? Where it's somewhat still following, but this gang culture is really, really crazy in the hood right now. What do y'all think about that?
For me, you know, first of all, thanks for having us. You know, it's always a pleasure. This is like my second time up here, but it's been so long.
Alumni.
Yeah, I mean, y'all big now.
We working.
You know what I'm saying? This, and I'm proud of y'all, man.
Well, thank you, man. Proud of y'all. Okay.
Mature, but you know, as far as the question, I think for me, you know, we have to look at what our community has, you know what I'm saying? Like the same way you said, like a lot of these young boys, they don't connect to the people who telling them not to do the thing. You know, they don't have somebody that looks like them, that comes from where they come from, that speak the language, you dress like them, that understand the culture that they involved in. And so they don't feel like they're connected to the people who's telling them. I think it's necessary for credible messages like us. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Trae, when you look at myself, when you look at Tamika, we come as we are. You know what I'm saying? We come as we are. We understand the same things. I don't have conversations with the youth about, you know, as the person I am now. I speak to you from where I was exactly where you are. You know, so that's a different conversation. When you're speaking from an adult perspective and you having a conversation, it's like you talking down to them. Well, you should be doing this and you need to be doing that. Nah, they have a life. You know, they have an understanding. They have realities that they dealing with. So when you connect with them where they are and you meet people where they are, the conversation is different. Then you start to really change the structure. I think the gang culture is so strong in our communities because these young boys are looking to be held. They looking for somebody to love them. They looking for people that they can be involved with. They want to have unity, and that's the only place they see it. So they say, bro, these are my bro. This is the buzzing. This is this and all that because they looking for family. In our communities, a lot of our personal families, we missing fathers, older mothers brother. On drugs, we got older brothers locked up, so we don't got nobody here to guide us. So when you go outside and you see the gang member and he the big homie supposedly, you know, and he running around and he directing this one, he look like he winning, and he say, yo, we gonna take you under our wing. Who else is doing that? You know what I'm saying? So we have to replace that. Right. You know what I'm saying? We have to replace that. And the thing about it is that this gang culture was started for that. It was actually started
like a revolutionary brotherhood.
Like a neighborhood watch as well.
Yeah, so we gotta, so I understand that reality too. So we got brothers like my brother Shanduke, who's in New York, who is a proud blood. But his OGism ain't telling you to go on the streets and shoot and this and that. He's a violence interrupter. He's taking the bloods off the streets and bringing them in, and they stopping the violence in the community. See, when you really gangster, when you can stop somebody from shooting somebody. It ain't nothing gangster about you just doing some dumb shit or sending somebody to throw a missile and getting these kids locked up. No, when you got enough respect that you can go to two people that want to kill each other and say, yo, nah, that's not happening. We're gonna change this. We're gonna flip this around. We're gonna build instead of destroying each other. That's what gangster is. So when we start retraining that mindset, that's when we're gonna get what we're supposed to get.
Goddamn, make some noise for that. So now, Trae, like Houston, like I went to Houston one time, and we went on the back road. What's it, Houston? Well, we went on the back road, and we took a piss, and a white man followed us. Like, you're not supposed to be peeing, and we never seen no shit like this. This man followed us. Like, so is it like that in Houston? Like, oh, that was a bad day. I came out there.
That probably was a bad day.
It was bad. Cool.
Definitely was a bad day.
Can you open that for me, please? Because I have the gloves and shit. So, but describe to us, do y'all deal with the gang culture, like gang shit like that as well?
You got to realize everything that I represent came from the gang culture. The only difference is, coming up where I'm from, I was the one that I brought all the gangs together. It didn't matter whether you from what block, it was just about respect. That's what ABN really is, you know. And the power of how I transformed it is, I'm still in the streets every day. Even though I do what I do, the reason that they love me is because they know that trust is instilled in me. They know he gonna give it to us pure, blank, raw. You know what I'm saying? He not finna look down on us. Right. If anything, you know, I'm gonna chop it up with him, and we gonna, you know, at the end of the day, I just give it to him real. I'm gonna tell you, you your own man. Whichever way you decide to go, I can tell you what the result's gonna be from my experience. But whatever you decide, just make sure you stand on it. But you know, man, I don't look at it and they say that it's just the gang. It's just characters. The characteristics of certain people, you know, because you have some gang members that's super solid, and you have some people that's not gang members that out here trying to crash people out. But then you have some gang members that may be trying to crash people out, and some people that ain't affiliated in the streets that's super solid. So I think it's all about the characteristics of the people. You know, like when me and Mike talk all the time, it's about
take some champagne.
Champagne. They ethics.
Jay-Z direct.
You know what I'm saying?
So I call for this. Let's go. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But nah, it's just, you know, it's about your morals, your principles, what you stand for. Because again, like what Mike said, you got to realize, for instance, you could take Jay Prince in Houston. Mm-hmm. People fail to realize, like, he's always took care of the hood. He's always took care of the community. He's always
never left it neither.
Right. He's always tried to, if
he always try to mediate beefs also.
Huh?
He always try to mediate beefs.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Right.
If it's unnecessary,
he dumbed down his gangster.
Dead. And I'm people classify me damn near as his son. We the exact same. So we not walking away from nothing.
Right.
But you know, if we watching it and it's just unnecessary, we're gonna try and make sense of it. You gotta make sense of it, because if you're doing it for nothing, like, what's the purpose? You know what I'm saying?
Let's salute that to this Ace of Spades, goddammit. Salute, man. Welcome to the. What are we calling this show? What are we calling this today? Black excellence, black excellence. Okay.
I love black
so
excellence.
how?
You know, I was gonna say Trae had a march. He called a march for George Floyd. 70,000 people in Houston. My son and I.
And you got a trade day too, right? In Houston too, right?
I got 2 holidays in Houston
Goddamn,
and one in
goddamn.
Milwaukee.
Goddamn. Okay.
You know,
Trae's
he a big
big.
dude. He a big dude. And my son, myself, and our other co-founder, attorney Angelo
Wait, hold on,
Pinto.
because I want you to get back to that. Remember what we were talking about.
Okay.
This is questions direct for you.
Okay.
How good did it feel to see Kamala Harris up there?
It's great. I mean,
Okay.
you know, you can't. I said the other day, we have to be able to take a moment to like celebrate.
Right.
Because we have so many brutal hits.
Right.
Where you feel like you're not winning.
Right.
So when you do, you got to celebrate it. And there's, you know, and I saw so many little girls, parents were posting on social media, little girls standing there as she was standing with their hands up in front of the TV, taking the pledge with her. Like, those things, that's incredible. It's the same thing with President Obama. Like, you know, that was a huge moment to see a black man become president. And I think it's, for me, it's not so much just the fact that they actually got there, it's how. Because both Obama and Kamala Harris, the people really truly elected them.
Right.
In both instances, it took young people, it took black folks. In Kamala's situation, well, let's say Vice President Harris.
Right.
In her
Madam
Vice President.
Okay.
In her situation, if it were not for the fact that Joe Biden chose her as his running mate, he wouldn't have won. It's no way. He won because he selected her. And that didn't just happen. My sister Joteka Edie and a number of other incredible black women came together a few weeks, like maybe 2 months before he made the pick, and began to apply pressure. We wrote letters. You know, I signed on to a number of letters and, situations where they basically were reaching out saying to the, at that time, his campaign, there has to be a black woman. And they never said it had to be Kamala Harris, because there were many others, Karen Bass, Keisha
They
Lance
even
Bottoms.
had beef on
Was
Biden
Stacey
and Harris
Abrams
had
even?
beef
Yeah,
at one
right,
point, right?
right, yeah,
She was
well,
calling
Stacey
him out.
No,
Abrams
it-
ever, like,
She
maybe
might have
for
been
that
in the
role?
conversation.
That's the one from
and by
Georgia?
the way, it wasn't that they had beef.
Right.
It was that she challenged him. She
called him out on
and
his
challenged
bullshit,
his
yeah.
racism as a white man and just called him out. And he just had to deal with it. He had to own it, you know. And I think it's a testament to, one, the power of black women, that she could do that, call him out like only mama can do, and that he still had to circle back to her in order to win. And so what the black women that I'm talking about, this group that was organized, they didn't say, choose Kamala, choose this person, choose, but they said a black woman is necessary in order for us to get in these streets and do what we need to do to help you win this election, because he was definitely not winning. And it was after she got on the ticket that people began to mobilize. Latasha Brown from Black Voters Matter and DeWanna Thompson of Woke Vote, women just across the country, amazing women that started to push to make sure our people got to the polls. And we can, you know, we went out Until Freedom, our organization.
Until
Trae
Freedom.
was there.
Yes.
We
That's
did
all of y'all together until freedom?
all of us is with everything. We with
Okay.
ABN
Okay.
is with
Okay.
Until Freedom. We
Okay.
all
Okay.
together on
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
Bottom line. But
Okay.
but we went out on an 11-day tour where we damn near slept on a bus half the day, traveling across the country. We went from Florida all the way to Michigan, out there knocking on doors. And the way in which we organize, we specifically go to the places where they say it's low propensity voters. These are people
Okay, I don't know that
who
word.
Like getting out
Right.
the
That
vote.
means that people
People that-
from those communities just don't
they
vote.
don't vote.
Okay, okay.
They more than likely won't
The hood.
show up.
Basically the hood.
I'm about to say, is that
They in the hood.
people of color?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Black people particularly.
Okay.
And they just, you know, you walk into their door, they like, don't come here with that voting stuff. I don't want to hear it. There are even people like grandmothers who would say to me, it was one grandmother, I think you were walking with me in was one housing project. She was like, I'm voting for the Lord. Like, that's who I vote for.
That's
so,
the homie. The homie got to be in the guy all the time. That's right.
Vote for the Lord. And her
goddammit.
point was she doesn't go to the polls.
Right.
You know, she's in church.
Right.
And it was after having a long conversation with her. In fact, Breonna Taylor's mother was with us at this part of the tour. Wow. And Breonna Taylor's mother walked up to her after she heard her saying to me, I'm not voting. And she said, do you know my daughter? My daughter's Breonna Taylor. She began to have a conversation with this woman. That woman went to the polls that day. We were able to get her to early vote at that time. Wow. So that happened because people bought into the idea that a black woman would now be vice president, because we do not need another white man at 70-something years old to be president of this country.
I don't think he gonna survive that long. She gonna be the president. Are they gonna let, like, I ain't gonna lie, listen, this is me, it's my ignorant shit, y'all ain't got nothing to do with this. I think Joe got like 6 months, maybe 16. 6 to 16 months, he gonna eat a bad piece of bread.
Survived the 4 years.
He gonna eat a bad piece of bread.
He's looking better. No, he's looking better.
Yeah.
He
needs some Beijing.
He got some pep in his step.
He gotta throw some Beijing in his shit, because his whites is fucking me up. He's white all over. Like,
hey, come on, man, relax.
Yeah, I mean, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
He looks better. Okay. And so, you know, we bought into it and we went out there and we know it's not perfect. It's not a perfect fix. Right. We were talking the other day that, you know, as soon as he got in office, he signed executive orders. We heard them.
And what was the executive order that related to our people?
So that's the point I was going to make. Okay. So he did immigration, you know, obviously stopping this stupid wall that they're building. Yeah. He dealt with the Muslim ban, getting rid of the Muslim ban. He dealt with making sure that I think 11 million people will become citizens. So he's doing things, right? But with black folks, you can't just sign something to say stop killing black people. It's not that simple.
And we're post-traumatic stress syndrome. Exactly. We're dealing with so much. We don't believe that paper anyway.
Exactly. So the executive order that he signed was, it is basically pushing the federal government to do a study on all the different areas of the government to sort of figure out where the racism lies. Like, where's the problems? Are people being hired?
Part of the government.
It's going to come back. The report is going to come back that so much needs to be done. So that's the first stage, is to be able to look at and analyze the depth of the issues from a federal perspective. And then they will come back and say, these things need to be done. The problem is that black people always get caught up in studies. Like, that's what they love to do to us. They're gonna put it in committee, there's gonna be a study, and it's the action part that it takes a while, if at all, to get to. Exactly. So that's what we all have to monitor, is making sure they do something.
And then state to state after that.
Exactly.
Did y'all see the movie One Night in Miami?
Yeah.
Yo,
I saw it.
when I first saw it, who mentioned it on the show?
Somebody mentioned it on the show.
And I'm thinking it's a stripper. I mean, just think of it. Think of the title, One Night in Miami.
You thought it was like The Hangover.
I thought, I was like, yo, so when I look, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. It was crazy because I just watched the Sam Cooke documentary. That's what somebody brought it up.
I think Lords of the Underground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it took me twice. First time I kind of fell asleep on it because I was like, what's the significance? I didn't really understand what was going on. But the second time when I woke up, drank some tea, and I was just like, wow, like, sometimes I think we underestimate our power. Is that the truth? I feel like this is One Night in Miami right now. I feel like just us getting together and spreading this type of a message. But do you think that we underestimate each other? And anybody can take this question.
I think we definitely underestimate our power. And
our power, that's what I meant.
Our power, because what happens to me, what I realized is going in the community, when we started voting, because personally, you know, I'm from the hood. Right. You know what I'm saying? I never believed in this politics shit. Like, I'm not doing no politics. That shit don't work. Boom. And then when you start to be in certain rooms, you start to have conversations, you start to understand that either you do politics or politics does you. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? You saying I don't vote is the dumbest shit ever, because the shit you don't vote for is still gonna affect your life.
It's like sometimes when a rapper says, I'm not a rapper, like, you gotta relax. Yeah, you've been rapping, brother.
Exactly. Exactly. So the bottom line is, if you talk about you don't vote and then you mad that the laws get passed, you still gonna stop at the green light, you're gonna pay taxes, you're gonna abide by every law. if you're not voting for the people that's putting those laws, then does that even make sense to you? If you know that there's two candidates and one of them actually could enact some laws that make a little more sense to you, even though the fucking host it's like being in jail, right? And you got two motherfucking wardens in there. One of them ain't giving you no child, you can't go to the yard, you can't get on the phone, and one of them saying, look, I'm gonna give you all day child, you can go to this way, you can go to the yard when you want, you can get on the phone, nigga, I don't give a fuck, I'm in jail anyway, I don't care what they do here, but you still in jail, right? You want to be on that phone, you want to go out to the yard, you need these certain amenities, you want to be able to get on the phone and call your lawyer, certain shit you need to do while you living in a place. I'm not saying stop trying to fight to get out, go to the law library, make sure you do all the shit and study to get out of jail, but while you in jail, you got to figure out how you're going to make yourself the most comfortable to where you can give yourself the opportunity to get out of there. So that's like us being in this system. Yeah, the system is fucked up. It's a bunch of bullshit. We know that. But when you don't participate and say, all right, we're gonna make sure that I'm gonna make sure that I put people that I trust a little more than the people in there in office. He's saying some shit that makes a little more sense to me, and I definitely want to see that legislation enacted. So, I'm gonna give him my vote because whether I vote or not, somebody's going in that motherfucking position.
I heard someone say, mainly the local elections is just as important as the big elections.
They impact you more personally.
It's more important because are you bringing out the shot time? I'm in. You resting the shot time? I'm in. I'm Ciroc playing.
We debate back and forth all the time about this. They're all important, and the reason why I always stop my song when he says that is because with our people, you have to speak to them in a way you can't be confusing and ambiguous because our people get confused. If you don't go to the polls for the presidential election because you're like, I don't do the federal piece, I don't care about that you will miss the opportunity to vote down the ballot, right? Right. So there's other things on that paper.
Right.
It's not just the presidential election. In the Georgia, what we just saw happen when we had to go back and vote again for
with the homie with the glasses.
For
what's the dude name with the glasses?
Reverend Raphael Warnock.
Okay, yeah. He's the governor now.
No, he's a senator. He's a senator, which is power.
Right,
that's like right after the president.
Wow.
Right? The president needs the Senate to help pass anything. So that's why when people say President Obama didn't do enough for black people.
He didn't have the Senate.
He didn't have the Senate. We lost the Senate because people didn't understand at that time. I think people are way more clear about elections and people are much more knowledgeable about elections and the process now, right? With all the craziness. Trump actually did that.
That's good.
Because
he brought more people to the fold, and they're more aware now.
Well, I tell people all the time, listen, when Trump was getting elected, right, and it was between him and Hillary Clinton, I said, I'd rather Trump be the president. And people was like, what do you mean? I said, I'm not voting for him, but I think we need Trump because Trump is going to push you to a level that you're not going to get with Hillary.
No, let's do a shot together. We take a shot together. You want a royal racing? Yes. This is all we usually salute to your careers, and this is still your careers, but God damn it, this is for y'all black excellence, goddamn. So you saying you rather the upfront racism?
No, it's just not so much. It's upfront racism, but Hillary would have been the first woman president in history, right? So women would have been like, we made it, we did it, everything's good, we can relax a little bit. When Trump got elected, this was a man who has no history, he don't know nothing about politics. He done said some of the dumbest shit. He was
the first WWF president.
He's done some of the most ridiculous shit. He showed you that we really have to do something. When you look and see him in power,
I was ready to vote for Kanye until Kanye jumped out the window.
That's what I'm saying.
I was ready to vote for him. For real. So
that's a whole other story.
That's a whole different story, different show.
I was with Kanye until he said slavery is the choice. I said, wait a minute, nigga. Hold on. I'm sorry.
We all was. I think we all was.
I was with him for a little while because I wanted Yeezys. I was like, fuck it. Maybe I get some free Yeezys.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so when you looked at him in office, I think, especially as black people and people of color, we looked and said, damn, this is really serious. Like, if this man is, and watched him do the shit he was talking about and how, this was shithole countries and only the blacks could live here and all type of racist shit. That shit,
stand up and stand back.
When you had this, we had to literally see that to understand it was really happening because it been happening in the system, but we didn't really see it. So like you said, it was upfront racism and it forced us. Like it forced people that was in their house just chilling like, nah, I can't just chill now. Like, we got to do some real shit.
Yeah.
And we needed that, especially as black people. You would have never seen the rise of such black leaders that was from the grassroots, people who was just in a hood just chilling, dudes like myself that came out and was like, nah, we can't really just sit out. We can't sit down and just watch this shit happen. So it forced leaders to emerge. It forced whole organizations to grow and say, look, we got to combat this shit.
And it
so
forced
it pushed
halfway
us.
racism to take their choice. Like people who was on the
had to
fence.
pick a
side.
Like,
Oh, yeah, you had to pick a
I'll give you a perfect
Yeah.
example. Like Trump had a rally by my crib. Right, he had a real rally by my crib, and all of the people that was Jewish, it was Israelis for Trump or something like that. So, bunch of my neighbors, I was like, oh really? They coming out? They usually have on shorts. They got on Dockers, and I'm like, oh okay, y'all going to fuck? I said, all right, I'm gonna remember this. So a year later, after the George Floyd shit, every one of them came up to me and was like, we gotta get him out of office. And I was like, wow, because they realized I didn't speak to them since then. But then they kept seeing, really I didn't even actually have to say, yo, I was offended by that. I didn't have to say that to them. They saw it and then they switched for themselves. And then Sonny knows the guy, the dog always comes up to Sonny and I be just looking like mad gangster, like, because the dog be fucking with the blackest one of my friend. The dog is the whitest of the white. I'm going too far. It's crazy. But you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about? The dude, like, he switched his whole shit. Good guy. He was actually, he worked for Obama. And it was just like, all right, I'm just telling you, like, so people who was on the fence, they would say, I don't know, then after the George Floyd shit, they was like, yo, he's outright racist.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't say that was wrong. He just couldn't say that. Like, he more or less commented on the riots he more or less commented on the effect more than the cause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so so go ahead.
Yeah.
Trey.
Go ahead, Trey. You saying something? My bad.
Okay. About to say
Yeah.
I was telling you a story about Trey's rally.
Okay. Yes, Ray's rally.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he called a rally, 70,000 people. It was the hottest day we was in hell. It was.
Right.
I never felt heat like this before.
Right.
This is unbelievable.
Right.
All of these.
PJ Envy came out there. Was Envy out there this time? I think I forget. Okay.
Not one fight, nobody bumping each other, everybody, so much respect. It was Trey. Right. The kids, all these little kids came and they were following him around the whole rally. Trey he commanded control over every single aspect of that rally. And I knew that day that he had a certain level of respect, not just in Houston, but this is all over the nation. Wherever we go, people respect these two guys so much. And I was like, wow, like Trey is a real leader. Like, I saw something different. I'm talking about it could have been it could have been a real big fight out there because it was hot. People were irritated, but they knew not to do that on his time.
How'd you develop that, Trey?
I don't even think it's about developing. It's just, bro, I sometimes I just move on impulse. Like I move as is. I don't really. Because you got to realize when I did it, I hit Bun and he like, man, let's make it happen. And I didn't know if it was going to be 10 people, 1,000 people, whatever it was. But, I spoke. And one thing about it, people know when it's time for a cause, it's time to fight, I'm going to go out there, win, lose, or draw. If it's something I believe in. And that day, it showed how many more people believe in what I believe in and believe and standing up for what needed to be stood up for. And we made a statement. I think we actually had the biggest march, period, when it came to George Floyd. George Floyd is the homie.
Right. No, I didn't know you knew him personally.
Yeah,
You knew him personally?
Yeah, so if you go look at some of the older stuff, I've been banned from radio like, I think this make maybe 12 years worldwide. Wow. And when everybody left me hanging, he was one of the few that was always
He was affiliated with Screw, right? Somehow?
Mm-hmm. Get out of here, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was on Screw tapes before we was there. Yeah, and but Floyd would always show up. You know what I'm saying? He would always be there to support. And it was like it was actually so crazy. I went out there right after he got killed and met with Tamika and Mysonne, and from that point, that's when we kind of never separated.
All right, hold on. I need you to slow down. Okay, it's cool. Boom, 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 boom. All right. No, because that's ill. That's ill. Because I was seeing y'all everywhere, from Ahmaud Arbery, like,
Ahmad.
Ahmad, I'm sorry,
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor, Trae, like everything that happened. So this is, so I thought y'all was seeing you there as well. So you're saying the first time that y'all linked up was at the
So it's crazy, right? Me and Mike didn't know each other, but it's like everything is still kind of tied in. So while they were doing what they were doing, you know, you still have the Lee Merritts, you still have the Sean Kings. They deal with me, they were dealing with me hands-on. So in a lot of cases, in a sense, I'd be fighting with Lee and Sean on what they're doing at the same time they're doing it. What happened was just when we went out there right after Floyd got killed, it just became us as one. Because even to this day, all of us still deal with the same people, but now it's like our team as a whole, you know, it's just everybody brings something to the table.
Yeah, we built the superpower.
Yeah, we definitely.
this is Illuminati.
No, it's not.
I'm in Illuminati. I took a picture like this.
Right, okay.
They went in.
Because y'all the Justice League.
Because I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah,
That's actually an organization that we're affiliated with. Yeah.
That was
I'm
our
gonna tell you
first
something. It's
organization.
very important when I look at y'all. You see how sharp you are. Everyone look good, beautiful jewelry. Like I'm gonna be honest. It's important because you got to remember the people. Even when you look at people like my heroes, like Stokely Carmichael, I never thought he got a haircut. That's my man. I love him. Like I followed him, but y'all didn't look like he picked the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is it be important because these young dudes, it's the same thing sometimes. These young dudes, if you're not somewhat relevant in their eyes, like you got something that they can identify with, they're not gonna wanna. Is that something that you
I think
run into?
that was one of the main focuses of Until Freedom. We like she said, we started working with an organization called the Justice League, which was the birth child of the Gathering for Justice, which is Harry Belafonte's organization.
Wow, that's the homie.
So we was working with the Gathering for Justice.
We still work.
We still work. I mean, we would just, that was all our work was
Every
funneled
day,
through
yeah.
every day. And then the executive director, Carmen Perez, had started Justice League. And that's when we started doing our own thing, immediate actions. My first rally that I went to was for Eric Gardner. I was working in detention
That's
centers.
the guy who got killed for cigarettes.
That got killed for cigarettes. And I was working in detention centers with the Gathering for Justice, and we would go into detention centers and we were talking to kids, and I was teaching them how to utilize my music as an alternative to violence. Like, you know, and I was going to detention centers weekly. This was the first time I had started doing that. And then the Eric Garner case happened. And Carmen was like, we walking out of the detention center, she looked, yo, they just killed this man. Look at how they killed him. We doing a rally tonight. And I'm like, rally? I had never been to a march, never been to a rally, nothing. And next thing I know, that night it was over 100,000 people in the city of New York City. And we was blocking the bridge to Jersey, and we sat in the middle of the street, and I never felt more alive than that day. Like I never
It feels like this is your calling.
That's what, but that's what I'm about to tell you. Like music is my passion, but this is my purpose.
Because
and my calling.
I've been there. I can't say in the beginning of your career. I can say in the beginning of your professional career.
No, you was there at the beginning of my career.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like when you was turning professional.
Now, when I started, me and Sean battled. That was the beginning of my career. I didn't even have a record deal.
I ain't know that, man. I ain't know how much of a legend I am,
Like, N.O.R.E was there. That was 1998. That was the beginning of my career. And N.O.R.E, we used to go to Justin's downtown.
I love Justin's.
And Justin's was the best club. Every Tuesday we go there. It was industry night. And I remember I tell people all the time, I remember hearing Band from TV. N.O.R.E pulled up in a big black truck in front of Justin's. And he was just playing, and I was just like, what the hell is that? Right. And then I heard Pun, and I heard N.O.R.E, and then I heard Kiss. I'm like, yo, this is probably the best song I ever heard. He was young, you know, N.O.R.E was wild, young and wild. He's like, yeah, this shit we about to crush you with this. I'm like, yo, let me get a verse. He said, nah. So we laughing, we kicking it, and then the next week, N.O.R.E's out there rhyming with Sean.
This is probably one of the best battles I ever like.
It was Sean and somebody else, and him and N.O.R.E is just out there rhyming. And they kicking it in front of Justice.
Hold on, I'm let you tell your story. You're gonna take a shot, though. Like, this is one of the best battles I ever witnessed. Salute.
So we outside, and N.O.R.E's out there. So Matt Middleton was my lawyer.
Yes.
And and Ed Woods.
Black
man.
lawyer. Both black lawyers.
Both
Both
black.
black
God
lawyers.
bless the dead Ed Woods, who passed away. So they both outside. They listening. Me and Tone, my manager, I just seen him yesterday. Shout out to Tone. We inside eating. So Matt comes in and like, yo, they outside rapping. Sean and them is out there. So I'm like, what? Now Sean just got $1 million record deal.
Yeah, let me stop you. And you're gonna finish it. Let me just tell you something. For me, it was ill because I ain't never seen this guy, never heard of this guy, and all I heard is he got $1 million from Bad Boy and $1 million publishing deal. I'm like, I ain't got that.
We all that.
He got that. So I'm like, oh, okay. I wanted to chop. So I not only meet him, but when we started rhyming, I wanted to chop his head off. But I'm gonna let Mike
That was the
Song take
Biggie
it.
effect, though.
Yeah, it was the Biggie effect. But the thing is, everybody was mad because we running around. We like, yo, this dude, he got $1 million. I'm like, yeah, I'll kill him. I heard half of something. Like, yeah, all right, man. So I got 100 rhymes. Right. So Matt comes in like, yo, they out there rhyming. I'm like, who's there? He like, yo, it's N.O.R.E. And it's Sean and there's somebody else. And he said, everybody's out there. Clue is out there. They got a big circle just surrounding them. So Tone looks, I'm like, yo, let's go. He like, no. I'm like, no, what do you mean? He like, nah. I'm like, what are you talking about? Nah. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I don't know this.
Now, 2 days before that, I had just went, and I was literally gonna sign with Entertainment.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Adidas.
Which is partners with
Lance
Biggie.
Rivera.
So Lance had told him, don't let nobody else hear me. Right. So that's why he was like, nah, don't rhyme. So I've been in the studio with them. I've kicked it for him for about an hour. He's like, yo, we doing the paperwork. Right. He told him, yo, don't let him rhyme for nobody else. I don't want to hear. So Tone was like, he was trying to, abide by that little situation. I'm like, come on, man, this nigga out here, let me tear his head off real quick. Mm-hmm. So Matt is like, come on, man, this can't hurt you. It's only gonna up the ante. Right. So Tone, all right. So we go out there. I'm standing there. So I'm looking. N.O.R.E, they going back and forth. And then Matt like, yo, let Mice get to the front. So I go to the front. He look. N.O.R.E like, okay, Mice, what you got some bars for us?
I had just met Mike.
He had just met me 2 weeks ago.
But he gave me that look like, please relax. like you got your shit already, my dude. Like, let me
just fall back.
And I had heard him rhyme, and I heard him because he was a slick rhymer, but I didn't hear him rhyme like this. Like he had the eye of a tiger. Like literally, there was tigers in his eyes. Like I look back and he just, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never seen no battle like that.
I remember he said, so first he started rhyming, and I think somebody was like, no, we back up.
No, it was your eyes.
So, and then he looked at me. He said, what you got? You got something? I spit. That nigga looked around. He's like, slow down, killer. He said, you trying to kill it. Hold on. This done got good. So then he rhyme, I go. He rhyme, I go. The nigga N.O.R.E was like,
I think this is the first time you used a gun in my left bar, right arm, or something, whatever that line was. And I was like, it's over.
I don't, and then N.O.R.E was like, it's over. Next thing I know, everybody was coming.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
Puff was calling niggas. Clue was on the radio talking about it. I had like a big bidding war. Jermaine Dupri flew me to Atlanta. I was in every record label.
You gotta understand, let me just describe this scene. First off, I love the fact that he just said Justice was a club. It was never.
No, it was a restaurant. It was a restaurant. It was like a restaurant that we treated like a club.
I got down in there really
treated it like a club, right? I always tell Puff that was the worst decision you ever made. I'm closing that shit. Like you should have kept the bodies and everything. Just keep it going. Just keep this shit going. Stay open, brother. Don't worry. We're gonna get it together. We're gonna figure it out. But anyway, so we used to club it out, and what it was,
the club was right next.
The club was
right across the street.
Shit, I hung out Cheetahs.
I'm about to say Cheetahs. Yeah.
Cheetahs. I hung out there with Wesley Snipes and Asian girls. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
But Cheetahs was to the left, and then to the right was another. No, Cheetahs to the left. Cheetahs to the left. As soon as you come out, Cheetahs to the left.
It was across the street.
21st Street.
Cheetah was directly across the street.
Yeah, I'm saying to the left though. But what was to the right? It was another white club to the right, or it was a billboard. It was a pool spot.
It was Justin.
It was a pool spot.
Yeah, pool spot. Yeah.
So that block was so lit in New York City.
It was.
So you gotta realize when they looked and they seen. And I forget, like I'm the actual #1 nigga at the time. I'm actually so, but Sean got the #1 name, and then when they see just everybody come out, like that was like, you know, when they talk about the park jams in the Bronx, like I was too young to experience that. I was too young to see Kool Herc and them do their thing. But to me, that battle was like my first, like I was like, oh shit, hip hop really is. This is really like, and it was like, listen, like. Everybody wanted to fight because, you know, Mysonne won that night. Like, Mysonne actually not just Shine. I don't want to just limit it to just Shine.
It was other people.
It was other people there too. There's other new artists, and so. But what it was the love of hip hop. That was the first time I was like, yo, hip hop is.
Me and Shine almost had a real beef over that. Like,
get out of here.
What? Them niggas was so mad. His man still was with him. Was like, fuck that nigga.
And they said you was running around saying but it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. I didn't really have no conversation. And we went to Diddy's house in the Hamptons.
Wow.
And Sean's man, we walk into the party, I give Sean a pound. His man like, don't get that faggot nigga no pound. Wow. I'm like, bro, who are you talking to? I'm confused. When we in Diddy's house. Wow. So I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna disrespect this man's house. Cause Tony like, nah, you can't. I said, let's just go outside. Mm-hmm. Now we ain't gonna make no scenes, so we all go outside.
So you told him to his man or to about Sean?
I told his man that. Sean was like, chill. And I was like, nah, that man have a problem with me. We ain't gonna disrespect, we ain't gonna make no scene. Let's just go outside. And we went outside, and we literally was about to get it on. And then Puff came out like, nah, y'all gotta settle this. And then Nigel was there. Nigel got in the middle, and we ended up having a conversation. And you know, he was like, nah, I just thought you were showing him fake love. And I'm like, listen, bro, this shit is hip hop. People gonna say what they say. If I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? But me and Sean had always been cool. I thought he was a dope dude. After that, me and him I was going to the studio with him.
Yeah.
He was like one of my closest friends. I used to be in the studio with Sean while he was doing his whole project. Like and helping him do shit. He'll help me, like we became like real close friends after that. But that one little period, it was drama for a minute.
Right. Damn.
Yeah.
So let's just make some noise for that, right?
we settled that. China's my guy.
So Trey, we know this. You're not drinking. You're not smoking. Is that something that because and when I first my first tour, I went on in Japan. I went on with 8 Ball and MJG, and they gave me this cup. They was like, man, this is served. This is served. It was a scissor. This is served. I was like, what? And I didn't fuck with it, but. That was the first. I didn't fuck with it, but because this is when we came back from Japan, the lady woke us up because we all jumped on the plane together. And the lady was like, "Excuse me, sir." I was like, "What's up?" She said, "The guy, he didn't move for 9 hours. Like he didn't sneeze, he didn't cough, he just stood
talking about
still."
8 Ball?
Yes, I told you the story before, and that was the first time I was like. And then I went to Texas, and it was all over Texas. Is that one of the reasons why you don't get high or fuck with anything?
Nah, I ain't never fucked with nothing.
Never fucked with it, period?
Not even lean.
Not like you had a bad experience.
Nah.
Okay.
So you know, coming from where we came from in the streets, you know, a lot of people, man, you know, a lot of people go through reality, whether it be the struggle, stress, and you got to realize. Sometimes them getting high or them sipping put them at ease for the moment. Right. I'm one of the people, I'd rather just go head up with whatever I'm feeling because at that moment, it can't get no worse than that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just always said I wouldn't because shit, I don't need to, me personally, one, I like to go against the grain. I like to do opposite of what everybody else doing. Two, at the end of the day, no matter what I did, once it wear off, I still got to face that shit. Right. So I just might as well go on, take it chin up. That's just like, bro, I'm that way with everything. So like when I got shot, you know, after the first 3-4 days of being on pain meds, I'm like, man, I'm gonna try and see if I can make it through the night without it. Wing myself from the instant. Like I tend to just go head up with whatever it is and whatever the outcome, it can't get no worse than whatever it is when it hit me right there and up.
You know, and I always say, you were touching on this earlier about how people act different when they're in front of the camera, and then behind the scenes, all types of things going on. What I appreciate about where we are at this moment in this movement, and especially in my leadership, I don't allow that. And I say to people all the time, I am not perfect. I do drink, I hang out, I like to twerk. You might catch me in a club, you might catch me going to the strip club. Like I'm not, and I refuse, because I would hate for people to find out later something about me and then be, discouraged or just like, wow, can't believe that this is who she is. Right. So I'm really. And not to say that all your business is in the street. Obviously we all got stuff that is your darkest thing that nobody knows about. But for the most part, I try to be extremely authentic and just put forth the true me so that everybody is really clear, so we're not confused later when you walk past me in the nightclub and you like, yo, what you doing in here? Yeah, I do the same things that everybody else does.
Yeah, it's not a front.
Nah, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like people have to understand we human.
That's right.
So the good thing, like, even in Houston with me, like, man, it got to a point, and Jeezy, he said this to me, like, man, Trey, you went from the super villain to the superhero. You know what I'm saying?
Make some noise
Just,
for that.
But the good thing is, the reason why I'm so comfortable is because I'm always me. I don't care to impress you. If you don't like how I move, how I look, how I roll, how I decide to speak on certain situations, you ain't got to deal with me. I'm not to impress you. Now, the other thing is, a lot of people fall victim to worrying about what the next person think. But guess what? If you bring up situations I've been in, and I'll be like, yeah, I did. So what's next? You gonna keep talking about it? Or like at the end of the day, when you go to start handling people like that, they just have to start respecting, like, look, this is what that is. And I learned that. Now you imagine me, you see, I'm 6'1", 6'2", diamonds, tattoos everywhere. You can have 80-year-old white women come up to me and touch me, tell me I just want to feel what one of our heroes feel like. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we at a point now, which is good for where we at in life. Everything is transparent. They respect us for us, like we human. Like, I'm the same one. If you say something disrespectful, I'm gonna be ready to get dead on your ass. And I'm not gonna be thinking about, oh man, I can't do this in front. Like, I'm human.
Because I remember like one of the first times, like, it was a big controversy with your name was with Mike Jones. Was something that happened? Like, because I don't think you ever even spoke on that. Yeah,
the reason why I don't, because it's like, when you from the streets should just stay in the streets, bro. It's not to always be broadcast. Like, even when I finally did do an interview, it had got to a point because so many interviews coming from his way, and it's like, hey, hold on, y'all ain't gonna just get to bashing me. Like, I'm finna check some shit.
I'm not too familiar. So you saying that when that incident happened, because I'm gonna just tell you what I seen as a New York nigga, right? As a New York nigga, the internet wasn't that big back then, like, Twitter and all that shit. All I just seen was, like, it was a meme, for lack of a better term, from back then. It's like, he's Mike Jones, and you just see Trae, boom, boom, hit him, man. And then, like, he's just, laying on or whatever.
Well, we had a few misunderstandings prior, and we were, at some point, we were going to end up having to bump into each other. That just so happened to be the place that we bumped into each other, and a few words were said. And I felt something slick was said that offended me, and shit happened, and it was what it was. Man, it was normal for us. This is what we do every day. You know what I'm saying? And that changed a lot of shit. Even to this day, man, I'm always gonna be the Lord of Julia Beverly, because you got to realize at that point, that's damn near, after that, that's when ozone damn near stopped at that point. You know what I'm saying? So that was probably one of the last. That was probably one of the last.
That was at the Ozone Awards.
Yeah, it was at the Ozone Awards.
That was y'all awards. That was y'all awards, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all fucked it up. But
even
New York, we fucking a bad shit.
But even to this day, just keeping it solid, man. I don't have no hate towards it, man. I really past that day, I ain't really thought about that shit. That's why you never really kissed me where we were going back and forth, the music, or like, man, that shit normal to me. So, in other people's world, certain shit go on, and they gotta ride that to the end. That's what's gonna help them live.
Right.
Like, man, I got too much other shit
Right.
going on. Cause guess what? As soon as we were done with that, we was dealing with some other shit in the hood. Had nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? So
how'd you hook up with T.I.?
So me and T.I. we had already previously chopped it up a few times. You know, I think I was doing some mixtapes back in the day called Slow Loud and Banging with my little brother J-Tons called Slab, and Paul Wall had ended up sending me his number one time, and you know, he had got on it. This was right when Tip was coming with Serious and Still Ain't Forgave Myself records. And you know, time went by, it was just always mutual, but when he got locked up, I was who was I?
Uno Mas.
I'm trying to think of who it was. And the name is on the tip of my tongue. It'll come, because she one of the homies for real. She a solid one. But long story short, I gave a message and she sent word to him and just telling him to hold his head, you know, like.
He was locked up.
Yeah, hold your head, you know, anything needed, let us know, you know. Right. We in full support. And he sent a message back like, keep giving them hell, keep doing your thing, man. You know, I salute you. And time went by, and Pee-wee, I don't know if you know who Pee-wee is. Pee-wee used to always be, he was on that TV show with Tip.
Okay.
That's how a lot of people end up learning of Pee-wee. He'd be back and forth between Tip, Thug, Bird, like it was all one circle, but Pee-wee was heavy on it, like, man, Trey, we got to get you over here. And B.O.B. and B. Rich came to Houston, yeah. So when they came, they just seen how my movement was, and they went back with the same thing. And Tip ended up sending for me to come out there just to chop it up, man. And yeah, and it's so crazy. People don't understand, like, where I come from is just a different type of code and loyalty that we stand on. And it was like, in the midst of that, Tip was reaching out to me at a time where if you deal with Trey, radio-wise, they gonna cut off any artist you got. They gonna cut off any business you got. You can't do It was just like
that's how it was when I messed with 50. You know what I mean? But okay, you know what I mean? It's documented.
So it was a red flag. Right. You know, with anything. I'm talking about you can lose your whole career if you decide to stand side by side. And
you sure you don't want to this Ace, man? This Black's Excellence is great. I'm just being honest, man.
I'm enjoying y'all enjoying it. Cool. And we had a conversation. He was like, hey, man, I can't promise we could fix it, but at the end of the day, I definitely want to stand side by side with you, and whatever happens or whatever comes about out the situation, whether good or bad, we just gonna roll with it.
But let me stop you right there, because all these artists right now are doing your platform without radio. Mm-hmm. Right now. Like, they're taking your method. Like, that's what you're saying. Like, you know, you said for 12 years he's banned from radio.
Yeah. So you got to realize. Let me clarify.
What was you using? What was you using? Like SoundCloud?
So that's what. Let me clarify. Not just banned from radio. See, a lot of people thought like, oh man, they just want to play his record. Like, nah, you can't be calling pictures with me. You can't do concerts. You can't do features with me. You can't do business. You can't
shoot out for the Hot 97. They ain't do that to us. Right?
Even when I'm out there saving people's lives, like even when I was saving people's lives.
Wow.
If they found out you was with me, then they gonna treat you some type of way.
And the funny thing is that it'd be like, who is they?
Yeah, we always say, who is they?
Because the same thing happened to me. You know, I went to Savior's Day with Minister Farrakhan.
Wow.
And the mere fact that I was there and that there was a picture that I had posted 2-3 years before.
Make some noise for the light floss. She was with Minister Farrakhan. Come on, that's our Jesus. Come on, let's go.
And like 2 or 3 years before that, I posted a picture. It might have been his birthday. I don't know. And I said he was the GOAT, right? And they found that and put it together with the fact that I was at the event, and then somehow tied that with me being an anti-Semite, and that I hated Jews and the Jewish community. There were some who were like really seriously concerned, right, because of things that they heard Minister Farrakhan say, and you know there's that tension that has been there for a long time, and there was some that was concerned, and we had to have some conversations. But there were others who literally was using it to try to destroy me, right? Because there is the same thing for Minister Farrakhan. If you're seen with him, or you're working with him, or you say anything,
treated like Farrakhan,
right? And you say anything,
across the
right?
world.
And you say anything positive about him and what he has done in the community, because there is no doubt. Like people can say whatever they want, and whatever concerns that folks have about some of Minister Farrakhan's rhetoric and his tone, those things, they should have those conversations. I support that 100%. Fine. But you will not take away from the man what he has done in our communities, period. So that was what I stood on. That I wasn't, I don't agree with everything that anybody says.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Not.
You already said something today that I can't wait till the show is over so I can tell you about how.
Let's go. I'm in.
But I'm just saying, nobody agrees with me. I don't agree with my mama.
Right. It's like trying to silence instead of having dialogue with people.
Right. So that happened. But then it got transferred to me. Right. So at this point, to your point, anybody who would work with me became like hot pocket. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you can't be in a picture with Tamika. If I was going to speak at an event, they would call the school beforehand. They would call the school beforehand and get me canceled.
These is $20,000 and $30,000 speaking again.
Oh, please. No, it wasn't. What are you talking about? It
Let's
wasn't.
take a
He
shot
always
to that.
said that. Don't listen to my son. Don't listen to my son. No, don't listen to my son.
Look, let me tell you something.
Don't listen to my son. It was not 20, and this is my camera right here.
Yes.
It was not $20,000 and $30,000
Right, 10.
speaking
You
against
got
me.
about 10.
Exactly.
About 10 and 15.
Because you know.
It was 10 and 15.
When
About
you
10,
go
15.
say people making $20,000 and $30,000 for a speech, honey, first of all, cousins will be calling like, you got
No,
the
that was-
bag.
no,
Yeah, I gotta deal with this guy saying I'm rich all the time.
No, but you are rich. You guys are
You are very
rich.
rich.
But this is different. No, this was a prominent time, and I was there with her during this situation. You know what I'm saying? And it was very weird for me, and I never seen nothing like this. I had never experienced this.
No, at first, my son told me I was being dramatic.
It was dramatic. Like, what are you talking about?
And he said you're being dramatic, and so what if people canceled you from speaking in a few places?
And
that happened.
Because listen, at that point, I was on tour with her. Like, we had a thing. I would do spoken word.
So you're saying you wasn't seeing what she was going through?
No, I seen it, but no, when it first happened, right? When it first happened, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she had just did the Women's March. She was on it everywhere. Everybody was like, oh, this is our leader, this and that. So she like, oh, leader. They showing up with Mr. Farrakhan. That's Farrakhan. Like, he's come to the hood. He's cleaned up dope fiends and turned them into entrepreneurs. Like, this is the only person we see coming to our communities to change Black lives. We literally watched this man change people that they said was nothing and turned them into prominent members like of our community. Like, what are you talking about? What are they talking? I don't even understand what this is happening. So she's like, yeah, this was going on. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then next thing you know, we were supposed to be going on to this school to speak and this and that. And I'm like, all right. So they canceled one. We like, good. We got 30 more.
It wasn't never good to me.
I'm like, don't worry about it. They just not with us. And then they canceled all 30.
So y'all identify who they is?
The they. We don't. That's
Is it the JDL?
Well, absolutely.
Right.
But what they wanted us to believe, and this is a war that they have tried to maintain between the Black and Jewish community forever. They wanted us to believe that it was the Jewish community that hated me, right? So they tried to make it, because as long as they can keep two historically oppressed communities, if you will, because you know what the Jewish community has been through, and they use triggers to get people in that community upset, and then you become the face of the violence that they have suffered and anti-Semitism. And then of course, Black folks, our concerns from slumlords, from the man that owned your
pushing
building was a
stereotypes
Jewish,
on each community.
exactly, pushing stereotypes. The man that owned the building in your community, he was Jewish, and the building never had heat, and it didn't have this. So they create these things to keep these two communities apart. right? But the truth is, it really wasn't the entire Jewish community because so many of them became my friends. They came to my aid. They taught me what I didn't know. They helped me understand their concerns.
Oh,
and
you
we
got
worked
Nick Cannon
together.
first. You got Nick Cannon first.
I got Nick Cannon first. I talked to Nick deeply about it, in public and in private.
And I think those same tactics are used between the Black and Latino communities as well.
Absolutely, and it's used in the Black community, the bougie versus the non. It's a whole thing. But the truth was, when we got down to it, it's actually people who you know who they are? The motherfuckers that was running up the side of the wall at the Capitol, right, on January 6th. Because it's same thing with Trae. It might look on the face that it was people from the Black community who were trying to stop him, but the reality is that they know our power. And when they know your power and they know you have the ability to bring people together, because if you think about my situation at this time, I was the Black woman who, in fact, yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of the Women's March. That gets a little up. It's the 4-year anniversary of the Women's March, where 5 million people marched around the world against Trump and fascism and racism and sexism and all those things. So here I am, a Black woman who is standing in the center of white women, because it was a white women's movement, if you will, at that time, right? Period. We all know it. It was basically populated, the Women's March, with white women. So now I'm standing there talking about Palestine, saying that, you know, what's happening in Palestine is wrong. I'm standing there telling white women, welcome to our world. Now all of a sudden you feel the pain of, you know, when someone comes into office who you believe is not there for your best interest. We've been dealing with that. I'm talking about police brutality. I'm bringing Trayvon's mother to the rally. I'm bringing Sandra Bland's mother to the rally. They were like, hell no. So they were waiting for something. And at the moment that they caught me at an event that I've been going to my entire life. I grew up in Harlem, in Manhattanville housing projects. Going to the Mosque number 7 was the thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Khalid, Conrad Muhammad, like that, you know, that was the place to go for Black freedom and liberation. I never once in my mind sat and listened to a speech that was being stated at the Nation of Islam, at the mosque, and went away saying I hated Jewish people. That just wasn't a thing that ever happened to me. So I really didn't understand. But there were people who came to me and they helped me to see what they were seeing. And I realized that the issue was history. I mean, this is eons of history that has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with on both sides. Because I believe that while, again, like I stated, Palestine, that's an issue for me. We traveled there. We saw the atrocity that is happening to the Palestinian people. And so when they heard me speaking, they saw me, I spoke somewhere. I don't remember where it was. But I was telling the white women, like, don't just come with your pink pussy hat, show up for me.
Las Vegas.
I mean, it was one of my good ones. You know, I was talking good shit. My son.
She had bars.
It was lit. I was in their ass. And the white women was standing in the bleachers like, yes, that's it. I got off the stage, and Mysonne and Linda Sarsour, our other co-founder, Until Freedom, they both walked up to me and said, this shit is about to blow. Something bad is going to happen. They knew. They were like,
because that's what they do. That's what they do to our leaders, right? They exalt you. They put you up on this pedestal just to chop you down, right? So when I heard her calling out and actually calling white America to face what they've done to Black people, right? When I seen her and I seen white people embrace that, right? I said, you too dangerous. It's like it's just like what they did to Malcolm. They said no one man should have all that power. When they look, I said to myself, I told her, as soon as she got that stage, I said,
this is not gonna work.
And it was because the white woman was like, that's right. We need to fix what we need to fix. And I'm like,
you taking the shot this time.
Well, let me say one thing about that.
No, you taking it.
I gotta take the shot. Okay, but you can't let me lose my point. Got it. Okay. So, cheers. So,
I like how you got the trace on the side.
Yeah, I gotta have that. But I'm about to do it again because I have a book coming out. It's called State of Emergency. Charlemagne would kill me. Charlemagne has a publishing company now.
Yes.
And I have the first book that's being released from his imprint. It's called Black Privilege.
Him and Kevin Hart together, right?
No. This is his own imprint at Simon & Schuster. And my book is the first book to be released on Black Privilege. It's called State of Emergency. And this book is basically all the stuff I was saying at that time in one body of work, where I'm basically talking through the history of 400 plus years of how we got to this point and a prescription for change, like what we can do. Angela Davis and Cardi B, they are in conversation in my forward. They're talking to one another. So it's going to be a powerful book.
Angela Davis and Cardi B.
That's
a conversation.
You said Angela Davis?
Dr. Angela Davis and Cardi B are in conversation together in my book.
That's fine.
Where Cardi is basically saying, like,
I can't. Talking about WAP and none of that, right? You gotta relax,
actually,
right?
she is.
Really?
Actually, she is. That's the whole point. Because, you know, I feel like I am, and Trey, he knows. He's always on me. Like, stop being so much Cardi. Like, because they think I'm supposed to be, like, I don't know, like, I'm me.
Trey be like,
oh,
this is what
sit
Trey
down,
be.
sis.
Let me tell you what he say, like, come on, sis, because you know we ain't gonna play about you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They be on me all the time, monitoring my moves. That's
we gotta be some other shit with them.
But
I love the way Trey do it. Like, we ain't gonna play about you.
Lord have mercy. Trey called me on the phone. I don't know what that outfit is you got on the internet, but you need to tone that down. I'm posting a bathing suit picture today. But anyway.
That's brother shit. That's brother shit.
Because I do it all the time. I be like, Tamika, she like, listen, I'm young, I'm single, I can do what I want.
That's right. I'm young and I'm single. On Drink Champs. I'm young and I'm single. That's my camera now.
I thought you were talking Mr. Lee and shit.
Y'all made me lose my point. I was talking about the book. I was saying that I think I find myself being a mix between Cardi B and Angela Davis. So when I was thinking of who could I bring to this conversation, I felt like they were the best people, and I'm so thankful that both of them agreed, because Cardi is basically saying to Angela Davis, is it okay for me to sit at the table with you? You know, can we both fight for freedom together, even though I'm not as perfect as you are? And Angela Davis responds. And I won't tell you what she says, but it's incredible. You got to buy the book.
Goddamn,
right? And you can pre-order it right now.
Okay, when's it out?
But it's actually going to be released on May 11th, but it can be pre-ordered right now. And the reason why I'm telling this story is to say, to the point of how we look at Trey and we see him pulling 70,000 people together, and he didn't need one radio spot to do it. That at the time, it felt like the end of my life. In fact, I got addicted to, what do you call them, pain pills. I had to go to a drug treatment program, all of Xanax, no, Xanax and all of that.
That's what you got. He came back high because he thought he was talking out. He's like,
I wasn't on Adderall, but because I was depressed because, like he said, it was one speaking engagement canceled for some stuff that I didn't even say. They were trying to tie me to somebody else's words and put it on me. And whenever the oppressor can't kill you with the truth, they'll lie. Exactly. Yeah. They start making up lies. I was stealing money from my organization. You know, they did everything. So I got really, really depressed, and I thought it was the end of the world. And I mean, I really thought it was the end of the world.
New York, I forgot.
And my son, along with a number of other individuals, my dear friends, people who I love, and I have to say, Yandy Smith Harris.
Yandy Smith, let's make some noise for Yandy Smith.
Yandy's one of my closest friends, and Yandy, again, that's the same thing with her. I was worried because Yandy and my manager, Toya Bond, they are partners, and their company manages me. People don't even know that Yandy's actually a part of my management team. And I wanted them to drop me as a client because I was worried about them losing contracts because of what was happening to me, but they stood with me all the way, 10 toes down. And one speaking engagement being canceled is cool, but by the time I got to 30 speaking engagements canceled, I was calling friends asking for money.
You're saying powerful shit now.
And this wasn't 5 years ago. I'm talking about last year. Last December, I sent a text message out to a number of friends saying, send money because I'm not gonna make it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And look at how God will turn things around. And so the point is that today, what I thought was the end of the world, actually it was a test to see whether or not I could stand up to this moment. I was being asked to denounce a black man, right, that I know has done great work in our community, who I still can say I don't agree with about things that he has said, right? And I said, I won't do it. Y'all can take all the speaking engagements, you can take everything you want, but as far as I was concerned, black men have been denounced in this country. Like, this nation has denounced the black man. So how can I, as a black woman who has a 21-year-old black son and a father, stand up and say, I denounce a black man? That's not language that I can use. I'm not gonna denounce the black man who killed somebody. I'm not gonna denounce the black man who did anything. I will say, I don't agree with you and you're wrong and you need to be held accountable for whatever you did. But I'll never use your language as white folks trying to tell me what to say to describe my relationship to black men. And that, standing on that, it broke me down to my smallest form. But the Lord will build you back. And look at where we're sitting today. We on Drink Champs.
That's right. Now let me ask something. We've all got a past, right? For people who like Drink Champs, what is your past? Like, how did you start this? How did you become here? Like,
it's too long of a story, but I'll say this. My parents used to take me to rallies in Harlem, as I said. So we went to the mosque. My mom and I went to church on Sunday, and of course, I grew up in the National Action Network, which is Reverend Al Sharpton's organization. I worked for him for 14 years. I became the youngest ever executive director of all the major civil rights organizations in the country. And I did that for 4 years, and then I decided I was ready to try to do it on my own. And so I left. When I was young, it was like your parents making you go to church. I was pissed all the time. And I ran away from home. I rebelled heavily against it. I got pregnant. And so I just told you my son is 21. So basically, my son and I grew up together. He saved my life. If it had not been for him, I don't know
give a drink
where I would be.
Count of three.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. He did. His name is Tariq, and he saved my life. And thankfully, Trae and Mysonne are his mentors who deal with him every day, because he and I cannot, we just can't. We're getting better now. Now he has his own place. We're getting much better. But there was a point when Trae had to call me a few weeks ago, and he's like, sis, you can't just not talk to him. Like, you have to talk to your son. And he deals with my son on a regular basis. And so thank God for them. But when I was young, I didn't want to be in the movement. And then his father was murdered. He was 2 years old. His father was shot and killed. He was left in a ditch for 2 weeks. And a woman walking her dog found him. And that's how we ended up finding out he was dead. And so...
Where was this at?
This was in Pennsylvania. Okay. So he's from Harlem also.
Yes, I'm asking.
So he's from Washington Heights. So when...
Dominican?
He's not...
This is not a year moment.
It's not a year moment.
Come on!
He's not Dominican. He's not Dominican.
Yeah, right.
Look at that.
But he's from Washington Heights. In the 3 buildings. What's those buildings on top of the bridge? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So anyway, he was killed. He was killed.
God bless.
And at the point that he died, what my parents had been forcing me to do in terms of taking me to the rallies, it all came together. Because I was trying to figure out, like, why is he dead? I didn't get it. Like, I know, okay, he's dead because some drug dudes and a thing, and they killed him, and he was involved in something he shouldn't have been involved. I got that. Right. But I'm saying there's a larger context to it. And I started really trying to understand it. And what I basically thought, to myself was that his mom and dad were perpetual drug abusers. They had been in and out of prison, great people, just couldn't get it together. And imagine if the system then would have said that it was an epidemic and deserved the type of resources they're giving white kids right now who are addicted to opioids. Imagine if they got therapy, counseling, and they could just show up somewhere and say, I have a problem, and people put them on a couch and do, and help them. They didn't have that. The way in which they dealt with drugs was putting them in jail, back and forth. And even though he had great grandparents who did everything they could, it's not the same. It wasn't enough. They just he couldn't get himself together. And unfortunately, he fell victim to the system. And so at that point, I took on what my parents were trying to tell me. I was like, oh, this is what the movement is about. I'm supposed to be fighting against gun violence, well, fighting to stop gun violence and all of that.
You never had to go on the streets yourself? You never had to like...
Well, you know, I had a life. Okay. I wasn't, like I said, I rebelled. Right. So I was in the street.
You was a regular teenager.
I was a little more.
A little extra regular teenager.
I was a little worse than a regular teenager. Right. I always say, you know, during that time when I wanted to be in the street, I wanted to marry a drug dealer. Because that's what I thought was cool. Right. You know, that's what I saw. I was watching Paid in Full. So I was like, yeah, like, you know, that was what I thought was the right thing.
I'm in Paid in Full. I'm like, I just thought about that for a second. I'm an old nigga, bro. That was some old nigga shit. That was an old nigga shot right there.
It's not. We're not that old.
I'm 43, man. I keep it real.
I'm 40. That's right. So, but anyway, that's my storyline. There's a lot to it, and I've been through a lot of things. But I will just say that the most gratifying part of what it is that I do is that my story is what actually makes me who I am. You know. Yeah. So.
Woo! That was the right
What I was saying, right, until you brought me into the battle and I had to break all of that down.
Because Gilly went at you too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Right. Let's just be clear.
Because there's a lot of inconsistencies and misconceptions about that situation.
Okay, yeah. Just want to throw that out there. So,
what I was saying...
I forgot.
I don't want you to forget.
If you don't forget and bring it back up, that's on you.
I promise you I'm not going to forget.
Might have to call Gilly up.
We can do that too.
Yeah. Gilly's my guy.
Yeah, that was hilarious, by the way.
What I was saying was the reason why we started Until Freedom, right, was literally because we realized there was a culture divide. Like the thing that you said when you said the preacher was telling you to do this and you saw all these things and you didn't see yourself in the movement. And for us, it was like, you know what? We come from the community. We come from the hood. We want to, like she said, we want to go to the strip club. We in the hood. You might catch me at a block party. You know, but you're not gonna talk to me crazy because I might go in your mouth. Like I'm gonna give you fire. I'm not gonna shoot you and kill you because I don't want to do that. But sometimes you gotta discipline. There's a level of discipline. You got. There's respect for men. I'm from the old school.
Can you please remember? Because how hard is it for you two brothers to keep that balance? You know what I'm saying? Because the thing about it is, on one hand, we preach it like, yo, man, you know, black excellence, man. Everybody, you know. But there is knuckle motherfucking heads.
Exactly, but that's why. But the thing is this:
Bozolinos.
They not as bad as me.
No, she's a little worse.
I will let a motherfucker know quick.
It be dudes, the fuck?
Nah,
yes, I do. What are you talking about?
I don't really. She gonna say it is. It is dudes, but we usually address all of those things when it comes to dudes. Right. When it's female situations, we try to just get in the middle. But the reality of the situation is, when you look at boxers, that's black excellence, right? We celebrate all our black boxers that have exceeded. It's nothing wrong. Sometimes you gotta knuckle up. Yeah, if you talk crazy to me, look, I don't want to shoot you. I'm not gonna stab you. I don't want to take your life. We might need to go in the corner and get 5 minutes because we feel a type of way. I believe that's part of what black excellence is. If you feel this way so much that we can't have a conversation to come to agreement to where you saying, yo, I apologize or this and that. Somebody might have to get beat up, and we can shake hands. Remember we was in school and used to fight, and your mother be like, "You gonna fight him?" and y'all shake hands and y'all go home.
Like somewhat you with Troy Ave.
No, but that's a different thing because I know he don't want to fight me. You understand what I'm saying? We just not the same type of individual, right? I think for me, right, the Troy Ave situation, because it's not really. I'm not
talking about the other beef. I'm talking about I think. Because he technically did not tell yet.
Not yet. See, that's the thing. So the thing is this. I understand the reality. We from the streets, right? So what happens is, before you tell, now in this social media era, there's a preparation for telling, right?
What if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, then I can say you didn't tell. And I can say, I was wrong. But I know
real.
what it looks
That's
like.
real.
You understand? Listen to me. I'm man
It's
enough.
in the air right now.
Yeah, I'm man enough to stand on what I stand on. You know, I'm man enough to
That's real.
stand. So when you start saying, yo, why I gotta be loyal to the streets? The streets ain't done nothing for
You're
me.
already thinking
They did this to me. I'm supposed to let me go to jail? Okay, cool. If that's I don't have anything wrong with that. And I don't want you to be loyal to anything. I just don't, after you tell on somebody, just don't say that you're a gangster. Don't try to make people believe that you're tough after that.
The thing about it is this. When you sitting there, listen, and you sitting there and you yelling gang, and you yelling all that, you got to face everything that comes with that.
But that's what we
But if
know.
you're not yelling that,
that's it. I don't.
Then it's
Like
a
for real.
totally different thing.
I had these conversations
I look at you totally different way.
And you supposed, when you are a citizen, right?
Yeah.
You know
Like
what I'm
for
saying?
real, look, I didn't take
Like
no
for real,
offense.
that's what I said. Like
Pharrell
for
sat
real,
in the
Pharrell
same
said,
seat.
I'm not doing
And
none of that.
And I expect Pharrell to go
Yeah.
to the office because that he pays taxes. The police supposed to take. He ain't making no money off the books. He ain't making no money in the streets where he threatening
My
people's
very
lives.
first encounter with Pharrell was he quoted Blood Money to me, which is a gangster rhyme. And this is the first time I ever met him. And he rhymed it as soon as the whole verse. And I looked at the nigga because I don't even really know the whole verse. And I'm like, damn, nigga know him better than me almost. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh shit. And as soon as he was finished, he's like, yo, I want you to know, I don't got a thug bone in my body. I respected that. Like from there, I was like, all right, cool.
It was music
He
for
just
him.
said it was music.
It was music.
You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is my man. But me and him, that's all we have in common is music.
And there's
That's
nothing
it.
wrong. Yo,
I don't have nothing else in common with him. But that's great. That lets you know how great music is.
No.
But what I'm trying to say is, that's the difference. Like when you yelling a certain thing and then the opposite, that's the problem. That's what you're
the problem
saying.
with me.
Okay.
It's just like being a man. You stand on what you stand on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I got friends. They don't have a gangster on their body. Never been in the streets. Right. Some of them is police officers. I got friends that just only go to college. I got friends. If I go walk down the street, I know if we get jumped, they gonna run. I don't have no issues.
They
I
got
have
a
an
couple of
issue
those.
with the dude that like, yo, we gonna get it in. We gonna get busy. I gotta bust my gun and this and that. And then when we get it in and something happen, you run. Yes. You're not who you say you. Just be who you say you are. And I'm okay with that.
It's a totally different.
And that's a totally different thing.
Different.
Gangster is being who you are to me. Gangster is not being tough.
A man that worked for the garbage truck.
He take out garbage.
Yeah,
he said, I'm going to own my family.
And somebody beat him up, he tell.
That's what he's supposed
different.
to do.
It's different. Like, all right, cool, bro.
And there's nothing wrong
Y'all
with
see him in
it.
his garbage truck,
That's
beautiful.
And that's
how you feel too, right, Trey?
I mean, to sum it up, just stand on your 10.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, whatever you...
On what your principles are.
Yeah, well, whatever you feel or whatever you display, just stand on it. Don't backpedal. You know what I'm saying? You can't, because pressure hit, now all of a sudden like, oh shit, let me get out the way. I don't need that, right? Like, if sometimes you bring that pressure. So if you bring that pressure, you got to stand on your 10 and face whatever coming at you.
Right.
Whether that may mean you may take the L out the situation. You can't, because that's the thing. Nowadays, a lot of people pick and choose what they do because they got to make sure they're going to take the win. You got to think just from a street aspect. That's the reason why a lot of people get shot. A lot of niggas ain't willing to take no ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Like, they that scared of an L, they'll risk their life.
Yep.
So they don't take it. My thing is just stand on your 10, whatever that may be. Because same thing with Mike say, man, I got people from all different walks of life. The difference is I don't expect them to do shit for me. I don't need them to fight my battle. So you can be yourself, and I'm gonna be good regardless. I know how to handle my business. You know what I'm saying? But that's really it. Just stand on your 10. What I do want to address is you just said,
Popping bottles all over.
look, you just said, is it hard doing what we do in black excellence? There's no difference. Like just because I'm out here on the front line fighting for people, I was doing that back then. So
but people
just because I do
the
it,
private power you have, and you know, would only use it on a negative type of vibe.
yeah, I think because see the reason I'm addressing it is because I don't want that. That's like me and Mysonne, right? We got an album that we recorded in Kentucky. We living in Kentucky fighting for Rihanna. We left the
And we
family.
did it in 2 days.
Let's make some noise for that.
They was acting like they was doing something. I ain't heard the album yet, so no, I heard a few tracks. So I don't know what they really did. I'll let y'all know when it.
So you know, we left our families and we literally moved to Kentucky. You know, fighting with the people of Kentucky, and in the process, we on the front line so much we don't have time to do music. So we had my engineer Watson come out, and we did an album within 2 days. But the reason I bring it up because of some people sense like, y'all, what kind of music y'all gonna be doing? Because y'all on the front line fighting for the people. Right. Like, nigga, I'm gonna do the same. You gonna hear the same niggas, fuck you, and whatever. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna give you, because the thing is, I've been giving them real music before they start seeing us fight for the people. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna continue to be there. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable changing, not being me. I'm not gonna sit here up here and like say I'm not gonna make street music or the music
because that's what
that
it
I
is
relate
for
to.
us. That's who we
y'all
are.
new version of Martin Malcolm, man? What if that this is it? What if
I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
Like, you know, that new version of, you know, activism, like where people.
Can I be honest with you, bro? I hate when people call me an activist. I hate when people call me anything.
So what do you think? What do you think this is?
I don't.
There's no new version of
do what
Martin
you
and
do.
Malcolm.
I'm saying like,
doing
you know,
me.
standing by the people. What word do we call
You know
that?
what's crazy?
Well, no, I mean, you can say activist. I'm an organizer.
Right.
So that's different from being an activist. An activist, anybody is an activist. Is when you feel like something is bothering you and you want to jump in and you know, you could do online activism, you could put boots on the ground, you could raise money, send money, do all of that. That makes you an activist. An organizer is somebody who can make those opportunities for you to get involved possible.
Right.
So we put together,
Create the movement.
we create the movement. Right. We're the strategists, if you will. And so I'm an organizer, but all of us are organizers and have become that over time.
I'm not an organizer.
You are
because
organized.
I'm so disorganized. My organizing is so disorganized. I am more of an activist in leadership because I know how to move. Like I'm so disorganized. That's one of my things that I have to work on. Her, Linda, they are our organizers. Like within Until Freedom, which I was trying to say before, I missed it. But within Until Freedom, Tamika and Linda organized. Like I come up with ideas, strategies. I want to go out there. I'm gonna stand on the front line. Me and Trey gonna be out there. What y'all need us to do? We out there. We gonna put our bodies on the line. We gonna utilize our platforms, our voices. We got y'all. We gonna hold y'all down. That's what we do. But when it comes to organizing the shit that we come up with, that's their strategy. They know how to
they very strategic.
They are very strategic
like
in that.
Shit that we probably don't take the time to map out A, B, C, D. We may be focused on A and B. They thinking the E and F. We thinking of how we finna run through this shit and
they like, no, you can't
here.
run. You got a job. You got to walk. You got to go this way. You got to go. I'm like,
That's just when women touch anything.
That's foresight too.
That's
you
what
know what?
women
Look,
do.
I was just gonna say that. That's just naturally what women. If you go all the way back, women always play a part in that. You know,
Major
in
part.
anything. But to what I did want to say is that's just like. So even with the activists, like I hate when people say, "Hey, man, you know, I'm watching y'all in politics." I'm not in politics. I don't like politicking. I do what I want to do, how I want to do it. I'm not following the rules, and I'm not going to do what you need me to do so we can be all right. Like, nah, I'm going to do what I do, and you going to accept it or you ain't going to accept it. Right. So I guess a lot of these titles, I just kind of stray away from. And funny story, me and T.I. argue about it all the time, right? And he'll be like, "Hey, bro, man, that shit you doing is so much more bigger than the music." And I used to argue with him like, "Nigga, don't try and make me stop rapping right now. Just put me in no motherfucking box to." But all the while,
They say that
this is just
games
naturally
used to
me.
do the same
I'm
thing
gonna
with me.
help people regardless, and I'm gonna jump out there for people. But I'm still gonna be me. I feel like I got to a point where we figured out how to master being us and combining it as
All right,
one.
I'm going to the
I
bathroom.
won't let nobody put me in.
Anytime anybody needs to go back,
I ain't gonna let
Go
nobody
next.
put me in no bracket. Like I refuse. You know what I'm saying?
I think I know what he means. You know what? Let's all just take a break, so we can just all
Bathroom
come back
break.
with that.
Yeah,
Let's all take a break. And this is something that we've been talking about internally.
For a while now.
I'm trying to start a movement with my niggas.
Your niggas.
Excuse me,
Say
sorry.
no, don't excuse you.
Nah, yeah.
You said
Don't
your
call
niggas.
each other niggas.
Okay, so let's.
So we replaced the word. It's a meaning called the yande. Yande means like a king, and and that I was using the word yande, not knowing there was an actual African meaning to it.
Okay.
So we've been trying, but so where do y'all stand on?
Just the other day, I called Mysonne. Trae and Mysonne just released one of the videos on the album that they worked on. And so I went to the Until Freedom, our organization's page. I don't run it, Linda does. And I went on there and then I clicked the video to watch it and listen to it, and they nigga this, nigga that, nigga that. I called my son and said, is there another clip that y'all can send that we could actually use to post?
And I said no.
And he said no. So,
Ain't no other clip.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not time to say brother.
So what I want to say is this.
Say
If they don't
brother.
accept it, then they don't. They just like shit. I ain't for you.
But my thing is this, right?
Well, I got a debate for this. But
There's
go ahead.
definitely
I'm
a
gonna go
debate,
next.
right? And I don't have a problem with the debate, right? Because we understand the origin of the word nigga, we understand where it came from, how it's been used to oppress our people, to demean our people. But we also have to realize that at some point, our people embrace that and we utilize it as a form, a symbolism of unity, right? To where we utilize, yo, that's my nigga, right? So you don't get to tell me what something means to me and the people I'm talking to, right? If you think about language, right? Language, the same word means different things in different languages. That's what language is. Language is only a level of communication, a form of communication between the people that you in that language are familiar with, right? Because in Spanish, they have words, right? That mean different in English and Spanish, right? And they pronounce the same exact way, right? So nigga is one of those words in our colloquialism, right? We've used that in our colloquialism in our communities to embrace each other. Just a word that we use, right? So people get so caught up in, oh, you use the word. And I'm like, I'm talking to the boy on the corner that when him and his friend talk, the only word they use to talk to each other is nigga, right? I need them to come to the movement. I'm not trying to get you. You already here. You talk, oh, I can't believe you. You don't need to believe me, bro.
used to be to save the babies.
Exactly. But my thing is this: it's not just the babies; it's what babies, right? Because I know that the word
already toxic.
Not just toxic. I know that when I use the word nigga and I go on a corner, what's up, my nigga, you good? When they gonna look, oh, what's up? I just seen you over here. I just seen you with this person. I just seen you, and you not so far removed to where you come in here talking to a language to us that we don't even identify with or talk to. I don't have to try to be something I'm not.
So you're fluent in speaking to
exactly.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, it may not be your method, right? Because there's a lot of people that use methods to do shit that I don't agree with, right? There's a lot of people that dress ways and talk ways that I don't agree with. It's a lot of my idols who have vocabularies that's far beyond the community, but I love them. Some of the words they say, I don't know what the fuck they talking about, right? I gotta look it up, but I love them because it makes me push myself. Some people don't want to be pushed. They want you to meet them where they are, right? So I don't judge you because you talk a language that most of the people where I'm from don't care about, right? I don't think that you even communicate or care about. I'm not that you don't care about, but I know that the language that you're using does not communicate with the people that I'm trying to save. I don't judge you and say you doing something wrong. I don't judge nobody. If your method is working for you, if you're changing lives, if you're changing, when I go in my DMs, it's 16, 15, 14, 13-year-old kids that's like, damn, I listen to you and I want to change my life. I was in this lifestyle and I want to change, beloved. What do I need to do? That means what I'm doing is working. Whether you agree on the method I'm doing it, everybody, it's a different direction to get to the same location, right? I don't gotta travel the way you travel. If what I'm doing is not effective, then talk to me. I know what I'm doing is effective. So if the word nigga is all you gotta talk about, if only thing you gotta tell me is that I need to stop doing the word nigga, I'm doing something right.
You did a rally, I think it was a Grand Concourse. You had the Latin Kings, the Bloods, and all that. So you think You had to speak to them?
You gotta speak to them where they at, because I know that. Because my form of communication, right, my form of activism, my form of leadership is understanding. I say, when I was 15 and 16, how would you have had to have a conversation with me for me to get it? Not just talking. You couldn't have came with this suit and this white robe and these big words. Because I'm going to look at you like, yo, who is this bozo? I'm not even going to... First of all, your whole approach to me is going to be wrong, right? So when the dude... That's why we got into the streets, because the drug dealer was the most successful person we had, right? I was lucky enough to have drug dealers that had a sense of consciousness, right? To where they was trying to keep the young boys out of the streets. They would give us money rather than give us packs. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to give us packs. Say, oh, you want to get some money? Young blood, here, take a pack. Nah, you play ball and you smart, right? I'm listening to you. You 12, 13, you smart. We want to make sure you get to college. You need some new sneakers or you need money to go to camp, we're going to give you that. Right. Those the OGs I was around, right? I was lucky enough to have those levels of OGs. But I understand, if they had something else on their mind, they could have derailed me another way. So when I have the conversations with the 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, I'm like, I want to talk to you in a manner that I know that you're going to receive it. Not the way I'm trying to force feed you something because I think you should accept the way I'm doing. No, that's not how you communicate with people. You don't communicate with people how you think or you want them. Oh, well, I'm not saying the word nigga, and I'm going to use these words, these big words that you never heard, and you got to accept it. If that works for you, I'm not knocking it. Maybe you might change some lives with that. I know it wouldn't have worked with me. So understanding that wouldn't have worked with me, I come to these young people the way that I know it would have worked with me. So there's going to be, everybody got a different perspective on it.
But the important part is being yourself, because that goes to what you're saying, is you have to be authentic at the same time. Because you're not going to be faking something that you think is going to resonate.
Because look, my thing, just like we on Drink Champs now, you may see us on Instagram, on TV. Guess what? When I leave here, I go right back to my city, and I'm in every hood and every community dealing with real life. So I'd be damned if I don't be myself and continue to speak on what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? I'm just blessed, like how Mike said, I'm blessed. I understand what it is being part of an old law and being a real big homie. A real big homie is you grab some of the little homies under your wing or in the head, like, hey, man, hell nah, bro, take that shit that route. Like, at least give yourself a chance. But I understand the pressure hit, and it's nothing else that can be done. You got to do what you got to do to feed your family. See, the thing is, I don't walk away to understand what the reality is, because shit, I've been there.
And we got a song on our album that speaks to that, called "Come As You Are."
Yeah, I'm accept.
Oh, y'all really did do something?
Oh yeah, we was working.
While y'all was acting, like y'all was doing.
Shit, I got an album coming out with Mozzie. All my shit is back to the normal shit. But the thing is, if you ever pay attention to my music, I always gave you the real. That's what make people. I think that's why people even gravitate to me doing what I do, or just me as a person, is because I always been me. I never try to be nothing else, man. And I can't.
The only thing I want to say on the nigga thing, and you know, I don't care. I say nigga all the time. So I'm not.
I talk to my kids, but that's how we talk to each other. I'm sorry.
It gets bad sometimes. So I'm not judgmental about it at all. But what I do know is that if you tried to make an album right now using a word that is offensive or has negative history for the Jewish community or for the gay community, it won't happen. It won't get published. And so you have to ask yourself, why are they okay with you using a word that is demeaning to our community or that has a history of being demeaning to our community, but they'll never ever let you say some of the same type of words about other people. And that's the thing, because when Michael Jackson said, "Don't Drew Me Down," they took that joint off the stand, cleaned the album, and then put the album back out. So that's the only issue that comes up for me. And it doesn't mean I don't use it, but it does mean that when I'm speaking in public, I'm careful about saying it, knowing that it would be fine for me to say something that sends a trigger to a certain community, but I could never go out and say anything offensive to other people who respect the history of their oppression.
So can I say something? Yeah. So if we look at the history of black people, right? We had to make chitlins a delicacy.
I
Right?
never ate that shit.
No, even if
I
you,
love
I did.
chitlins.
Chitlin was one of the biggest things in my household,
I
right?
get it. I just,
We had to make lemons, lemonade. We had to figure out how to make everything they gave us, and that's
make the best out
But you don't.
No, let me
But you
say-
don't even have to.
But let me
because I'm
explain
not
it,
saying
'cause
I
I want-
disagree. I'm just saying that it is yet another perspective that should be
No, but I want you to give
yours.
my perspective, right? So, black people are the most creative people in the world. Right? We figured out how to take whatever you gave us and multiply it, right? We figured out how to take everything negative that you thought for us and turn it into something else. That's what our culture is. When you talk about those other cultures, right? They don't do that. They've never taken. If you look at most other cultures, whatever was negative directed to them, they kept it negative.
But here's
Listen
the
to
deal.
me.
But
It's a good point.
But it's a great point. But there's a certain level of respect that their communities get as well. And you got to ask yourself, why is it? Because the things that we've been fighting for and the challenges that we face and the constant disrespect that we receive, perhaps it has something to do with the fact that we constantly take the negative and make it positive, and therefore people don't feel like we really need justice.
But the problem is
because
this.
in other communities, when
Oh,
they
this is
say,
what we do on Street Politics nowadays. So
yeah.
don't be alone.
In other communities,
Street Politics is our podcast.
That's right.
Tune in.
That's
Tune in.
That's we
We
gotta
about to
talk
get
about
N.O.R.E. We got N.O.R.E.
But when-
and DJ Jeff.
But when other communities feel something is wrong to them, they put their foot down and they mean it. And they don't make it good, so that you don't ever think, because there's certain things about you in terms of loyalty and other things that I have learned about you over time. I can't play with it. You never make it good. You've been very clear that this is a line that if anybody crosses it, it's a problem for me.
That's right.
And so I think that our communities may need to look at
But the thing is
examples
this:
of
who
other
gets to
communities.
define what those things is
Well,
for
that's
our
the
community?
debate. That's the
What was the
debate.
line with
That's
Black
the
TV?
debate.
What was the line? Because that was your man.
Oh,
50
man.
grand.
That's such a big conversation.
every
I'm so
time.
glad you brought that up, because I can't wait to
that
give
up.
my.
Every
So
time
that was
I
my
used to
son's
see-
man?
That was his man.
That
He
was
was in
my-
security,
that-
man.
I wasn't in security, but
Man,
I
I'm
was.
saying a
security.
little bit, a little bit.
A little bit because
A little bit.
because
Like up until recent
A little
times.
bit, a
because-
little bit,
N.O.R.E.,
a little bit, a little bit.
oh
But
my
he tried. This is what he does. Hey, let me give you a pound.
A little bit. You know I know my
Give
shit.
a clap for Chloe.
He's doing his own for that TV
Because
shit.
N.O.R.E. was
love
yo,
Vlad.
listen.
I used to
Vlad
love
was his
Vlad.
man too. Like
Yeah,
No,
my
we
man,
all do
my
Vlad.
man.
We all do
You used
Vlad.
to
Yeah.
love
Still is.
Vlad.
So listen to
I
me.
used to
So
love
So let me
Vlad.
tell you something.
We know
Honestly.
Vlad.
I got love for him.
For about a decade, right? Vlad has been my friend. Was my friend, right?
You don't
And-
say friends either about people, so
No,
that he really was.
He
your
was my friend. Like Tamika knows, I told her this is my friend. Like everybody who knows, this is my friend. I've had arguments with people. I've gotten debates. All of this was my friend because I first came home. You know, I'm fresh up, trying to do this. Vlad was like, "Yo, I got an opportunity for you to get a record deal." I had this single that was out, Jim Jones on it. He shot the video for me. He helped me do all this shit. Like, we're gonna get you a record deal. Got some money in my pocket. Was helping me do a lot of shit when dudes who I done shit for in this industry didn't do nothing for me. Dudes that I thought was family. I came home with nothing, didn't do nothing for me. This was one of the first people that just fuck with me. Honestly, wasn't on no bullshit like, yo, I fuck with you. I like your music, boom, boom, boom. And we started having conversations. I'm like, yo, I fuck with the dude. He's a white dude. He don't really know much from the hood. He's not hood, but that's who he is. And he'll tell you, I'm not hood. He got a website. This is what he does. He posts shit. He like, this is what I do, Mice. You know, I post shit. You know, and I'm like, okay, cool. But just understand, you might have to deal with that. Like, oh, I get it. Okay, cool. When you do some bullshit, I'm gonna check you because that's who I am. I'm never gonna let you do some bullshit on my watch and not check you. Boom. But when somebody do some bullshit to you, and I know it's bullshit because they think you're just a white boy, I'm gonna check them. Like, okay, I know you're a white boy. You think, but this is my friend, so we're not gonna play that either. So that's been my position in his life for a while. So he'll come to New York. If he was when he lived in New York, we hung out all the time. Boom, boom. I knew his family. At the dinner, at the table, bring me to his house. Like, this is my friend.
Yeah, real friendship, right?
This is friendship. So niggas can say what they want, nigga. I've never been a nigga you can buy. You can't pay me for nothing. I'm not a sucker. You know what I'm saying? I've never been. Anybody who knows me know I stand on what I stand on. But he exhibited a level of loyalty and friendship to me that wasn't exhibited to people that I thought was my family and friends.
Right.
And that's just a
That
fact.
says a lot.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was. So for years we went through that. I took flack with him when he did shit. I had beef with Hot 97 when he was talking about all type of shit. Me and Ebro had conversations. Mr. C like, yo, this is my friend. Whatever it is, I get it, but it's my friend. Me and Wack had a conversation, some shit he did with Ray J. This is my friend. Yeah, whatever. All right, Wack, I hear you, but that's my man. So I'm not letting nothing happen to him. That's just a fact. And these is real shit. Like, nigga, he had real shit, and I had to step in like, okay, I get what you're saying. I'm gonna make him fix that, but I can't let you do nothing to him, because it's my friend. So if you cross the line of that, then understand this is still my friend.
Right.
I've done that on the strength of who I am as a man. The part where he crossed the line for me was in this situation with Minister Farrakhan, right? So when the situation happened, I didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? People calling me, blah, blah, blah. I see this on the thing. I'm like, Vlad, what happened? Like, oh, you see what he said? I'm like, what did he say? I don't understand what you're saying he said. He's like, yeah, I just did an interview with, who was it?
D.L. Hughley.
D.L. Hughley. You know, D.L. Hughley said what he wanted to say. Nobody talks about that part, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway.
D.L. Hughley is my friend.
That's her friend. And I know D.L. Hughley, but nobody has called him to the table about what his part in that situation, because he didn't even know he had a part in that situation.
He is my friend.
He had a big part in that situation.
And that's that.
That's it. He had a part in that situation.
Thank you.
Everybody ignored his part, I guess, because Vlad is a white dude that they didn't like. Cool, I
That's
get
right.
it. That's
right.
He's a white dude that they didn't like,
That's
so
right.
cool. So he asked D.L. Hughley some questions. He said this, and he labeled it saying that the minister calls for violence against Jews. So I'm like, Vlad, where did you get that from? He sent me a clip. So when I see the clip, I'm like, I see the clip, but that's not the whole clip, Vlad. Where did you get this? Oh, he's been saying this. Okay, well, what does that got to do with this clip that you just sent me? Because this is not the whole clip that the minister said.
Right.
So I sent him the whole clip. I said, you need to listen to the whole clip, because you'll realize that he didn't call for violence. He was talking about something out of the Bible that it says throw stones at evil and this and that, not the Jews. You know, those stones at the evil. When you see him throw stones of truth, not physical stones to hurt nobody. He was using scripture. So he said, oh, I didn't see this whole thing. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it down. Me and Trey had conversations. Trey called me like, yo, boom, boom, what's going on? We got on the phone with him. He said, yo, I'm gonna take it down, and I'm gonna say that out of respect, I'm taking it down, even though I don't agree with a lot of things the minister said, but I'm going to take it down. I said, okay, cool. I can't tell you to agree with what somebody says. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, cool, that was enough. He took it down. Everybody like, nah, you need an apology. Like, yo, he calls me like, Mice, you know, I'm not gonna apologize because the situation is something I don't feel like I have to apologize. I took it down, I misquoted it, I did everything possible, but people are now trying to make me apologize. Now, when I heard the apology thing and make me apologize, I said to myself, damn, this reminds me of the situation that happened with Tamika when they were saying, yo, you gotta say this, and you gotta say this, and the whole community's like, you need to say this, and I'm like, yo, nobody can't force you to say what you don't wanna say. Who gets the fuck to tell you how to talk, right? So this was my thing. I'm like, yo, listen, you don't gotta apologize, but you gotta right the wrong. You gotta take that shit down and say you made a mistake. Now, if you don't wanna apologize, cool. I'm not asking you to apologize, right? And he's like, yeah, you know, thank you, because it just messed up. So cool, you don't want to apologize, but you gotta deal with the ramifications of not apologizing, because the Nation of Islam is gonna want an apology from you. Now, if you willing to deal with what comes with that, cool. He's like, you know, fuck that, because I stand on what I stand on, and I'm willing to lose friends and everything behind this. So I'm like, okay, that's how you feel. But you fixed the wrong. You took that shit off the thing, you said you made a mistake. Cool. Now, Royce comes up, yo, he had a conversation with him, said, oh, Vlad said, I give Mysonne money, I done this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, why would that conversation come up with you and Royce? Where would that give my son money for what? What have you ever gave my son money from? You've loaned my son. You've done shit for me like in crisis that friends would do because I thought this was my friend. If you call effing like, yo, I need this, I need you to give me $500 right now for some shit that's going on here. All right, send it to me. Effing ain't gonna go and say, yo, I've given N.O.R.E money because that's your friend, right? This is your friend. So the fact that he had a conversation with a man about money he gave me that wasn't really nothing, $700, like, nigga, we've been I thought we was friends for 10 plus years. So when you having a conversation with another man about what you do for me, I don't even know where that comes from. So that's one thing. Then me and Royce get into a back and forth debate about it. Boom, boom.
13 hours.
13 hours
on
Troy,
social media.
Roy, I mean,
bro, damn near drove me out of my mind. I couldn't believe it.
On Instagram, we had a live. Trey is calling me like, bro, get off live right now. Trey is texting me like, get off. I'm mad because I'm having a conversation with a nigga
Jesus.
and we going back and forth, and I'm like, regardless of what, I'm gonna stand on what I stand on, and this is my friend. But obviously, I'm starting to realize I might not be his friend. By the way this conversation is going, right? Me and Royce like, but why would a man say this? And even though I still had a situation with Royce, you got my phone number. You could have called me. You didn't have to put some shit on Instagram, and that was my issue with Royce. Like, Royce, you got my number. If you didn't have my number and you said, Vlad said he did this for Mysonne, I wouldn't feel a way. But the fact that you got my number and we supposed to have a relationship, I feel you out of pocket for that. So that's really where my whole thing with him is. It ain't even about Vlad at this point. It's about me and you, bro. Just say, yo, you know what? I could have called. No. And he's still standing on, I shouldn't have called you. He said that, so I said it to the world. I don't understand why you think that's okay. So we going back and forth. After I get off the phone with him, me and Trey have a conversation. Trey like, nah, bro, that's my brother. I'm gonna take in I'm gonna absorb what he said to me, right? Everybody's calling me saying this, I'm absorbing. So I called Vlad. I'm like, Vlad, I just don't understand how a conversation about you giving me money came into a conversation with you and Royce. Like, where did that? Oh, I thought I was having a private conversation, this and that. So I remember. So we going back and forth. I'm like, but what is it that? Why don't you feel that you want to apologize? Is there an issue? He like, listen. I said, when Nick Cannon got into a situation, he apologized. Yeah. He said, well, Nick Cannon had to apologize because his money was affected. Ooh. Right? Ooh. He said, my money ain't been affected. I had the best month in Vlad TV ever. So I said, so you telling me that if your money was affected, so it ain't about principle for you. It ain't about you standing on what you, because you told me I'm standing on what I stand on as a man. Right. So now if that was your money being affected, then you would apologize. So you don't feel that black people affect your money. You don't feel like disrespecting one of the leaders of black community affects your money. So you don't feel like you have to apologize. Because if it affected your money and this was a bad week for Vlad, you would go up and say, yo, you know what, I apologize. That's what you're saying to me. He like, listen, I'm not saying that, but we gotta be honest. If it was affecting my money, I would have to think differently. I said, oh, so you say you wouldn't lose friends, you wouldn't compromise my friendship, throw me under the bus for protecting you as a friend, lose Lord Jamal, all the people, black people who've been holding you down for years because it's not affecting your money. So we just expendable. But if it was affecting your money, you would apologize. You ain't gonna affect your money because you know that we gotta deal with shit as black people from this community that you profit off every day. You don't give a fuck about that. I said, okay, Vlad, I realize now, you never was my friend. At that point, I realized you're not my friend. You feel like I benefited you in some way, so you kept me around because I don't jeopardize or benefit or take away from your money. The minute that I take away from your money, then you're gonna do shit for me that makes sense, right? At that point, I realized we're not friends. You know what I'm saying? He drew that line. It wasn't nobody else. You can't talk me into not being mans with my man. Nobody can. Right. If I call you my friend, only thing that could damage my friendship is you. Nobody can't tell me nothing about you to change. I went to that man and he looked me and he talked to me on the phone and told me that he wasn't gonna apologize because it didn't jeopardize his money. Even though it harmed black communities and the people that I loved and people that I looked up to, even though it harmed them, it didn't jeopardize your money. So because I came to you as your friend who you know was frontline with you, willing to take beefs and shit from you and say, yo, this is probably the best thing to do. That wasn't something that you
After he
took
told
in.
on Rick Ross, you were still running around with him in New York.
Because I said because you're a
Holding them-
citizen, nigga.
He's a
If
citizen.
Rick Ross
He's
beat
a
you up,
citizen.
you get it. I
Me
didn't
too.
think.
Goddamn. I was holding.
You know what I'm saying? That's your job.
Solid,
Like, listen,
solid.
how else you
Real-
gonna get?
real
How else
nigga
you?
shit.
You're not gonna go beat a nigga up. He ain't gonna shoot nobody. So I didn't take it as that. I took it as a civilian. Did the civilian shit?
Take your shit.
All right, but can I tell you my opinion?
No, take your
Well,
shit
at first I gotta talk because
All right, take your shit. Take your shit, and then we're gonna talk. Come on,
No,
you gotta do
I
it.
gotta
Drink
do
check.
it.
Take it first. That's only your opinion.
Let me tell you something.
On Vlad TV.
It is the consequences of friendships with white people. And that's a hard reality that people might not want to hear. But it is the consequences of being friends with white people because even they don't understand the damage that they cause to our community and our relationships. They don't necessarily understand
It's not
it.
them, but
Because it's not...
but it's like their ancestors.
And when we talk about this all the time, we just on Street Politicians the other day on our podcast.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Black Effect.
It's not
Black Effect.
shameless.
Black Effect.
It's just a plug. And by the way,
Y'all gonna be on there too.
we're about
Make
to
some
be
noise for
with
that,
y'all. We're
goddamn.
gonna be on the same level. We're gonna be on the same level with Drink Champs eventually,
Now, we
especially
love
when New
y'all.
York
We love
opens
y'all. We
back
love
up.
y'all.
We might
We
have to
love
move our podcast to Miami
Yeah.
so
Y'all
we
can
can
record that
actually
right
say
Come on,
But I've experienced the same. In fact, there's a couple white women that I'm friends with that come to mind, and I think about situations that have happened over time where they really either thought they were doing the right thing or really didn't care, but it ended up causing harm to me and people that I have relationships with, and it's just the consequences of the fact that they don't have the analysis, if you will, or the commitment to our people in our community. Because in this situation, I know Vlad, and there's been times that I've actually had conversations. I remember being in, where was I at? What's the club with the stairs in New York? Jay-Z's club.
40-40?
40-40 club. Loud as hell. And I'm over there, like, in the corner telling Vlad about some shit that I saw on his site that I was like, it's not cool. And everybody knows this. I called Meek the other day to have a conversation with him about something. Charlamagne, I deal with him all day on text messages. Yo, I do it to Tip. I do it to Killer Mike, all of them. When I feel like there's something that, that they're doing that needs to be addressed, right? And that I think they need to think about differently. And so because he was my son's friend, I have done the same thing with Vlad. But what I realize is that in his mind, and this is what often happens with white people that I'm talking about in State of Emergency, my book, is that it's about them first. Even the ones that are your good friends, they haven't made the commitment yet that they need to sacrifice themselves and their privilege in order to ensure that their friendship with you is about uplifting and empowering you. Their position is, it's me first, and then I fuck with you. But I'm not going to put myself in harm's way in order to help you. And that's a problem.
That's a fact.
That's a problem.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what it was.
Go ahead.
I said something.
But my son, as cool as you were with Vlad, you never had an issue with the clickbait and the way
No,
he
there
used
was.
the
Listen
clickbait.
to me. When he did it to where I felt it was extreme, I would call him and like, Vlad, you gotta take that down.
He changed
that's
a
what
lot of
I
things.
always thought was
Listen to me.
wild. What
Listen to me.
changed how he used clickbait.
People don't even know. There was so much shit that I had Vlad change that I'm like, Vlad, you can't post that.
He did it to Chi Ali.
He did it to Chi.
He did
Chi
it
is
to
one of
Chi
you know.
Ali.
Chi is my brother.
Yeah,
Me and
he
we
did
did
it to
drink
Chi.
champs. Me and Chi did drink champs together. That's when I did drink
What
champs.
did he do to Chi?
He wrote about Chi Ali talks about still carrying a gun even while on parole.
No, that wasn't the one. I don't remember what it was.
No,
but
that's what he wrote.
Nah,
So Chi is like Chi. So listen to it.
nah, that wasn't even the
So
one
listen-
for me, and that's
No,
bad.
But this what he says. Chi Ali talks about still having gun while he's on parole. I'm like, what do you? I said, the man is out on parole now. He like, no, he was talking about it then. I'm like, no, you putting clickbait. He said, but when they listen to the interview, I'm like, Vlad, some people don't listen to the interview. Right, yeah. The motherfucking his parole officer might be like, yeah, we need to call him in and check him, pat him down, all type of shit. Chi calling me like, yo, niggas. I'm like, Chi. I was like, Vlad, you gotta take that down.
that interview
Yeah, he did it too.
I hooked it up. I'm like, Vlad, you gotta take that down right now.
He did it to another
Literally.
friend of ours, Omar, who killed somebody when he was young. in a fight physically, well, not with
That's
guns or
another
anything.
one of my brothers.
And Omar is my son's best friend, but he's very close to me as well. And the storyline was something like, it was basically glorifying what Omar did.
Because it stemmed from Joe Budden's, right? So Joe Budden's.
How did I know Joe Budden's gonna be in this conversation at some point?
Like Joe is a dude, right? That I actually like, right? Like when me and Joe was in the same vicinity, we have the best conversations. We build like the studio when he first started shooting his podcast out was the studio that I introduced him to. Like Joe seen me coming from a studio in his hood and was like, "Yo, where you at?" I'm like, "Yo, it's a studio right here." Like, "Word? I live right down the block." I'm like, "Yeah, you need to come over here." He didn't even know about the studio and ended up meeting my mans. The podcast that they said, this podcast room was originally set up for me and Tamika's podcast. We told him, we're gonna shoot a podcast, and Joe ended up shooting the podcast first. So that's how the Joe Budden podcast actually got started. So I was in the studio when he did the song dissing Drake. Like I was there. Like this is my man. We sitting there kicking it all the time. So when we in each other's vicinity, there's a level of love. Like when the shit happened with him and Migos, I was at the BT Wars. I had just left him. We left. I called him. "You good?" "Yeah, I'm good." Boom, boom. This is who I perceive. But Joe has a way of doing, like saying little slick shit, right? That'd be like, why did you say that about me? Like it just be like, how did that happen, Joe? Like you said that people asked you something about me. Like people saying that my son is fake with this, the civil rights thing. I don't know. This was the word that people were saying. Why would you?
I already bit my nail, so where we going with this?
No, so anyway.
You can tell us. I don't understand. Like,
no, it was something I had to get off my chest for because I love Joe. Yeah. He said some shit that just kind of rubbed me just a little.
That's y'all light skinned niggas. I feel like this.
I'm way darker than Joe.
I just feel like.
Am I darker than Joe? I'm only a tad bit lighter than you.
I'm trying to be like Akon, man. I'm being honest, man. That's why I'm trying to get out of the light skin community. All right. So
anyway, Joe Budden had did an interview, and he was talking about Vlad, right? Vlad had did an interview talking about Joe, and Joe went on his podcast and talked about Vlad and said, "Yeah, you was you was somewhere with Mysonne. Y'all was at a club, and I seen y'all there, and I'm like, what the fuck I need to? I'm definitely not going there if you and Mysonne are there. Like, this is definitely not a club I need to be at." So I'm like, what does that mean, Joe? You know what I'm saying? And he said, Vlad was talking about my friend Omar. He said, yeah, and Vlad was, he's trying to get some props. So I'm with my friend Omar. He killed somebody with his bare hands.
Right.
So Joe Budden continuously uses that during the segment of the show. You with your guy who killed somebody with his bare hands. Your guy who killed someone, he keeps saying it. The guy who kills. So now Vlad knows how to get views. So he interviews Omar, the guy who killed, and that's the topic, the guy who killed somebody with his bare hands. So Vlad knows how to get clickbait. Joe Budden talked about him. Vlad brings him up there. He talks. He one of us. Like he is straight down. Like him and Trae remind me of each other so much. He don't really talk that much, and he for whatever like this. So that's why these are two of my closest friends.
Trae don't really talk that much.
You know what I'm saying? Trae don't really.
But when he say shit,
he be saying shit, right? So him and O is like the same. So he brings up O up there and he does an interview with O. So all of the titles is like he killed somebody with his bare hands and this and that. So now Omar been home for like the last 10 years, 8 years or whatever. Now the person who he killed somebody at 16, 17 years old out of a fight, whatever the situation, the dude end up dying. Those people still lost a loved one. You know what I'm saying? So he's creating situations with him back in his hometown. Right. Like he's going for, he asking them questions that's kind of feeding O, and O is like, yo, I did what I did. I've served my time for it. I wish his family no problems, this and that. But this is my truth. So he ends up getting to on the internet with people from his own hometown, like, yo, fuck that, this is on and this and that.
Why would you say that? Yeah,
so why would you have to, I understand. So she was mad, like, yo, why the fuck would he even post that up? Why would he try to glorify this and that? And I understood, but I also understood, like I told, I said, Vlad was, now when it comes to security, Omar was the person that had doing security for Vlad. Like, he would call me.
Last one though.
You know what I'm saying? Vlad would call me and be like, yo, you got somebody that I'm going such and such. I'm like, I'm gonna call this is my mate, just came home, he's solid, I know he's gonna make sure you good. So and him became
After he told over.
But you said
But you know what? But Vlad did it to me too, because whatever interview I did with you, somehow or another it became that I hated black men. What was we talking about in that
You said
interview?
you was dating white men or something?
no.
You say that?
We was talking about issues.
Bill Cosby.
We was talking about Bill Cosby. And then she said something.
Yeah, it was something. And next thing you know, I'm on the internet and Twitter decides, because you know Twitter is a brain.
It's a decisive thing.
And Twitter decided that I don't like black men. And I'm like, see, messing around, going on these shows. But you know what? At the end of the day, Vlad really was my son's friend.
No,
He
I
really
was.
was.
No.
He
I
really
was
was.
Vlad's friend.
Well, I know, I
So
understand,
that's the
but I'm
difference.
just saying.
Vlad
y'all
was
were
not
really
my
friends.
son.
Let's do a quick time with slime. Come on.
Because there's no time out here.
My phone too? What the fuck?
Yeah,
It's quick time with slime in the FM?
Quick time with slime, yeah.
What's that? What does that mean?
We'll give you one or two questions. One or two questions. You started off.
Oh, I gotta start off as quick time with slime.
Well, who
You gotta choose one, not both.
You gotta choose one.
Alright, I'm gonna.
And you gotta change it to who you want to put it to.
You gotta choose one.
Nah, it could be everybody can answer this. Nas or Jay-Z?
Ooh, that's tough. Because
If we go on our family, I'm gonna say Nas. Me and Nas close, but I rock with both of them.
If you going off,
We need one. Which one you pick?
I just
If I had
say
to-
if I'm going off family, I'm gonna say
said
Nas.
if I had to pick, I'm going with Nas. Nas is more.
That's two Nas. So who you going with, sis? Stop answering your phone.
I mean, I think I'm gonna have to say Jay. And I'm only gonna say, I mean, I don't know. That's a hard, like, who asked that stupid question?
You said Jay. You said Jay. We got the answer.
That's a stupid
2-1.
question.
Keep ready.
Like,
Quick time with slime.
All right.
Apparently we're your fan too.
stupid
We're gonna
question.
start with you, buddy. Ghetto Boys or UGK?
Jay supports me.
Okay, we moved on to the next question.
Sorry. Jay-Z called me on the phone and told me
He
I was
also
the
supplied
leader.
the champagne for the
So
night. That's why
I'm
we
just
keep drinking.
saying, yeah.
I'm gonna say both. And I know
He
you
said
don't,
both,
you don't like the answer, but I'm gonna say it.
What was the question? The second question?
Ghetto Boys or UGK?
I'm
I
a
don't
Ghetto
even know who
Boys
these
fan.
people are.
Ghetto
so-
Boys?
Yes, man.
What you say?
Facing
I don't
like-
even know them. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, bingo.
All right, we're gonna start with you. Tupac or Big?
No question about that.
Both.
No.
I love. Listen to me.
I don't like these
I love
political
Big because it's a New York shit. But when I look who's closer to who I am, like
Pac.
it's just Pac. You know what I'm saying? So like both of them have a real imprint on my life, but Pac is closer to my spirit animal.
Tamika.
I'm Pac.
Huh? Tamika, what's your answer?
I was in a relationship with Tupac in my mind.
Oh, I was about to say
So-
Jesus. We breaking news right here.
There's
We don't even need to use clickbait here. We just put that.
Tupac was my boyfriend. Okay, so yeah, I just
What's
no
Tupac?
question about
Is
it.
it underground
Tupac.
Tupac?
Hey, N.O.R.E, shout out to Big though. You know my company Bump Box. We just actually released.
That's your company?
Yeah, I'm one of the owners. It's
Oh,
5 of
shit.
us. So we
I gotta
just
go to the
released.
bump box. Let's take a shot at the bump box. Goddammit.
So
We gotta get you one over
Black
here.
wealth.
We gotta get you one
It's
over
already
here.
on.
We didn't drink
Look,
champs.
Look, Vlad, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Trey, right?
Well, we gotta let him finish this.
Finish
He
the
was
drink.
sitting
Finish the shot. Finish the shot.
Finish your shot, bro.
Quick time slide.
Well, I'm gonna let Mike talk, but I'm gonna say we just released the actual Notorious Big Bump Box.
I need that
And we
one.
just released the Aaliyah one last
I
week.
want
too.
you.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yo, listen to me.
I got
Trey is the most resourceful person I've ever met in my life. Look, Trey is the person you call up on the phone at 8 o'clock, and whatever you need is there by 12. He don't play no games, bump boxes,
No.
CMOS.
Trey's out here.
Pharmacy for life.
Yo, Trey is literally out
look,
here
You're part of Pharmacy Life?
helping
Yeah,
to
yeah, my
heal
bro,
people
Styles.
with the
Yeah, I know my
COVID-19
bro.
virus. I called Trey on a holiday, New Year's. I called him like the day before New
Shout out,
Year's.
Mo.
And I said, my cousin is very sick and he needs help for COVID. 2 days later, no mail moves on New Year's Day. Somehow or another, the next day, my cousin calls me like, I got this box of sea moss. What else is in there? Black seed oil, oregano oil.
Shout out Mo, shout out
You knew
Styles
N.O.R.E?
P.
This man, right here.
Stars?
Yeah, that's my brother. You know, Styles
Styles
is who
my guy
turned
too.
me on to it, and since then I've been spreading the knowledge you gave me. And we, that's family.
Yo,
So we
Trae,
rock.
Trae is resourceful.
He's a caretaker.
Whatever, and he's so genuine. Like he's like a gentle giant. Like
Oh man,
you don't know. He hate that term, but with his family, like he's lovable. Like, but when it's somebody else, nigga, you know we on the front line. We going. It's like me.
As it should be.
So when you
Squeeze the bullet out your own arm.
when you see somebody,
What the fuck nigga is you? Like, what happened? You ain't had no option. There's no hospital near. Like, what's
So-
going on?
That was the Rambo
But I
shit.
just-
So when I got shot, I went to the hospital, and as
Doctor
I'm in
was
the
taking
room,
long?
they didn't. Before they could even get to it, you just see people running through the halls panicking, and they like, well, what's going on? It's over 100 niggas outside. You know what I'm saying? But you know they're there to make sure I'm good. So at that point, they try to shut the hospital down. They're more focused on that. And I'll never forget, one of the people even asked, if you look on the internet, you'll find one of the people asked me for a picture. I'm looking at him like, bitch, you asked me for a picture. I'm bleeding out my motherfucking back right now. You know what I'm saying? But I could tell he was damn near heartbroken. I let the man get the picture. But,
You'll be repainting karma.
Let's finish quick time with slide.
But long story short, I went home. They put me out the hospital. I went home, healed myself. You know, just long story short, cleaning it up. You know, and stopping the bleeding. But the bullet it stayed in my shoulder for like 4 or 5 years, and like it was to the point it was almost bulging out, but it never was cut. So I mean, it was never, my skin was never cut.
So you broke it out and.
So at one point, probably close to the 5th year, I was waking up and there'd be blood splats all over my arm. I'm like, damn. And it's real tender. So probably a day later, it was a lot more blood. At this point, it's like, I'm looking at it, I'm one of them people, you know, I'm gonna push it to the limit. So, you know, I start squeezing and, you know, blood was coming out. And I go down to I go in my bathroom, I'm like, man, I'm about to get this shit up out of me. So I call my nephew down, and in the midst of calling him, I'm telling him what I'm finna do. He young. Man, you gotta let me feel it. This shit gonna go viral. I don't give no fuck about no viral, bro. I'm trying to figure this shit out. So I go to.
You're trying to TikTok your bullets.
So I'm not even paying attention to him at this point. I'm just, now it's time, like, I'm finna get this shit up out of me somehow, some way. Man, that shit. You can go look at the video and the
Oh, he filmed it.
Oh yeah, he definitely filmed
Definitely
it.
went viral, goddamn.
Yeah, he definitely filmed it, and yeah, I did it. Still didn't go to the hospital. I just started cleaning it the same way and stuffing it with gauze and shit. You can't even see the scar no more.
So you one of them niggas ain't going to the
That's right
hospital
there.
for nothing.
yeah, he on some Rambo shit.
You know, what they do back in the days, like, just put some tussin on that motherfucker. What did you put some tussin on that motherfucker? What you did? What you put on that motherfucker?
Just, you know, soap and water, man, and stuff it up and wrap it. That's it.
Make some noise for you.
Don't try that at home. Don't try that at home.
It ain't for everybody.
Now, let's finish the rest of the quick time slots. Yeah, man.
Let's see. Queen Latifah or Rhapsody?
That's you.
I'm with
It's everybody, man.
Well, I know
So female gotta be female?
See, that's what I'm talking
Yeah, that ain't fair.
Nah,
That's not really fair
bullshit.
because
I
rap
can't
is like my.
participate.
That's right.
Because at the end, Rhapsody
Rap
is
she's until freedom.
she is.
It should be both. Just say both.
Yeah,
Say
it's
both.
Both.
Because Queen Latifah texted
It's
me the
our
other
big
day and
sister.
said, "How can I help?"
Queen Latifah might be trying
So
to
you
take you
can't
down,
be
bro.
mad at people.
Listen, without Queen Latifah, ain't none of us here at the table. That's just what mine is.
I say
That was
I say
not nice.
Rhapsody for family. I say Queen Latifah for setting it off.
Hell yeah.
Rhapsody though, that's my sister.
Look, we fucking up the whole thing. We answering how we want to answer.
Yeah, both.
Go ahead.
Next,
All right, Dead Prez or Public Enemy?
Public Enemy.
Probably, I would say Public Enemy just because I'm more familiar with Public Enemy. Yeah.
Sis?
That
Speaking of
person.
that, we just released the EPMD Bump Box 2. Yeah, yeah.
Dead president.
That press?
That president's
I'm
fast.
looking at my phone because by 5 o'clock today, and it's almost 5 o'clock,
It is
I have to
almost
turn
5?
in stuff for this
Oh, it
book.
is almost
Yo,
5. Damn.
writing books.
Y'all been here.
You turn in a book in the middle of
Yo,
drink
I'm
champs?
literally in the middle of drink
some
And speaking of Tamika, my book on the way too. So
Yes, it is.
Yo, in my book, DJ Effin, shout out to DJ Effin. He brought a bunch. He brought. I always say Effin.
Everybody call me Effin. I
EFN.
ain't influenced no more.
He brought
I bought
the Spanish
both of them.
version. He brought
Yeah.
both of them. But he was one of the first people to buy the Spanish
Was I
version.
really one of the first ones?
You was. Like, I didn't even.
I was gonna bring it and I forgot because my 2 little kids had me crazy
Yo,
morning.
my book, I Know My Rights.
All right, but hold on.
Okay.
No. And shout out to
Dead
McBride.
press.
McBride, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Hold together.
Public enemy for me.
All right,
Like,
cool.
I love Dead Press, but.
I need you to answer these ones very
That president
fast.
said public
Very fast,
enemy.
very fast.
Very fast. I need you to answer these ones
Okay,
very
let's
fast.
go.
I opt out. I plead the fifth. I don't
No,
want
no,
to
you
answer
already
no more
answered.
questions.
But
No,
listen,
because-
we're going to answer these ones very fast because we're on a time limit, all right? Real quick. Martin them out.
Malcolm.
Nope.
Damn.
Niggas are damn.
Malcolm,
Right. 2 Malcolms. All right. Respect or loyalty?
Respect.
Respect.
loyalty, man.
Loyalty?
Yeah.
80s or 90s?
90s.
I was born 1980.
So the 80s?
80.
80?
I was born in the 80s, but the music in the 90s was me.
Okay. All right.
80s. I like old. I like 70s music.
Oh, I can't
Joe
go back
Biden
there.
or Bernie?
Bernie. Feel the burn.
Bernie was on drink champs, ain't
Bernie,
no?
All right, let's take a shot to Bernie.
Bernie on drink champ. Take a shot to Bernie. Yeah, she drinking.
Then we had Bernie's memo drink champs. We didn't have him.
Bernie said, "What time is this shit gonna be over?"
All right. Yeah, we got. This is about it. Dre up. Dr. Dre or Puff Daddy?
Dre. No, I can't say that.
Who came up with these?
Both. I like both of them.
Puff is my piece.
Puff is from my hood,
last
so
one is fire.
if I had to, I would go with Puff, but Dre had
You have to. What are you doing?
So I'm going
Yeah.
Puff, but
All
if
right,
I
then
don't,
you have
then I'm
to.
going both.
Yeah.
Nah, you going both?
Mr. Lee came up with these are
I
fire.
already told you, Puff is my piece.
All right.
I say both, but just where we come from, Dr. Dre definitely, he set the tone for everything.
Okay, all right.
I'm getting away from y'all. Y'all get me in trouble with all my friends and
This is
everything.
foul.
While we get to the last one, shout out to my bros Deezy, Miyake, and Monty in here too. You know, it's big. Yeah, it's big. For us, it's big coming from Houston to be on drink. So
That's
Nah,
right,
man,
drink
thank y'all for
champs.
being here, man. Thank you.
This
This is monumental.
This is probably the hardest one right here.
Okay.
This is foul, man.
Michelle Obama. Oh, Kamala Harris.
oh, Michelle Obama.
That's not hard at all.
Michelle
Let me tell you
Obama.
something though. This is what I said.
Oh shit! This is exactly what we
If
wanted.
Kamala Harris believes, which I'm joking, guys, that Michelle Obama is her friend, she's not. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
We let her plug to that.
Because when you are young, you learn that you don't show up to nobody's birthday party dressed better than the actual person who's having the party. If you saw how Michelle Obama showed
Before we
up,
say this,
Before we say this,
but listen to me.
She was like a Muslim girl.
Let me tell you some shit. This is what until freedom is, right? We gonna say the shit that the politically correct person would say, hey, you know, everyone does their thing.
Nah.
Wait. So you saying Michelle did that on purpose?
No, I'm not saying she did it on purpose. I'm saying you're supposed to think about it beforehand. That when you're young, you learn don't upstage the bride.
Yeah, but
You don't wear white
when
to
you're
a bride's
when you're
wedding.
downstage, it's still upstage.
But
what you
when-
gonna say?
but-
I was just gonna say, I don't think Michelle Obama
that's what
can
I'm
be
gonna
paid.
say.
So it
The
just is
crazy
what
thing
it
is
is. She gonna always
Michelle
be.
Obama
She stand out in every
probably
situation.
thought that she was wearing pants and a sweater to this thing. But you can't wear, it's not even plum or whatever. That shit was called wine. Okay?
Wine.
She was so bad, that hair curl, that bounce that she had, that was like, she was supposed to tell them, you know what, this outfit is so bad, I need y'all to send this over there to Kamala.
They
and
walked
let
in like
her
it was
wear
their
it.
inauguration when they walked in.
It did, man.
It was
It
bad.
was a
But
different
Kamala
level.
looked beautiful too.
She
But
did.
it was a different
But Michelle,
level
yo, listen,
that
you know what
Michelle
it is?
walked in
It's
there.
that
But I'm
Michelle-
joking.
No,
I'm
If
joking.
even though
Michelle
you're joking,
ran,
right?
she would
She
win.
would have won. She
definitely.
would have won.
The thing is this,
Hands
right?
down.
Hands down,
Michelle
hands
has
down.
a certain level of glamour, she has a level of
And let's be clear.
Natural, man.
Not just
Like
natural, no,
sexy
but
without
it's
being
natural.
sexy.
No, it's not
Trying
just
to be
natural.
sexy.
Let me tell
Like,
you
she's
why.
sexy, like,
Because
without
when you look at the
trying to be sexy.
when you look at the Michelle,
she walk in the room and her presence gonna be.
well, let me tell you this,
It's nice.
but that wasn't always the case. When Michelle first got there was a process, right? They was going through shit. Oh, Michelle, this and that. Michelle grew.
Like she transformed
And she
herself?
transformed,
Right.
like she grew into who she was. Not saying she did anything different, but she started to grow into her queendom, right?
She understood the role.
She understood the
And grew
role.
into it, right.
She had different conversations. She started looking at herself and said, "Oh, this is what I need to do for me." And she has owned who she is, right?
Damn.
Kamala is going to get there.
Oh yeah.
She's
oh,
gonna-
yeah.
she gonna do that. You can tell she
She
has to.
Kamala
Yeah.
has a badass body too, and people don't really know it.
Yeah, because that's not what they.
She's fly. She's fly.
No, let me tell you what. Let me tell you what happens with especially lighter skinned women, especially with lighter skinned women, but with black and brown women in general.
What's up with that white girl that made that light skinned girl?
But let me tell you something about this. Is a really important point. With women who are incredibly intelligent, as Kamala Harris is, oftentimes you don't want to put on too much so that people focus more on your beauty and less on your power. And so you can see that she leans with the suits and everything that she does towards see me and respect me for who I am and don't try to box me into just my fabulous. Michelle has figured out, and Tamika Mallory is working at it every day, the balance of both. And so she's badass. But then let me tell you what makes Michelle real badass. That man she walking with, that's a fine ass motherfucker. Okay, she walked with the man, and I bet
all our niggas talk like it's about us.
that's a fine ass.
Girl talk about me like that.
And guess what? I promise you, and I don't know. Of course, I'm just speculating. That when he saw her come out, when they was getting ready to leave to go to the inauguration, he said, "That's what we doing. we gonna do all this right here."
I blame N.O.R.E. and EFN for having my sister on all these shots because she letting it be told.
Let me ask you this one thing, because I've been looking all over Twitter. No, please stay right here. It's the last one. It's the last one. No. This the white girl that's saying the yellow girl. She said yellow bone girl.
Yeah, I never
I
seen
don't pay
that.
attention to that kind of stuff.
I can't be involved in that. God bless you. Good night.
No.
Drink champs.
Hey,
See you
if you're
later.
scared, stay inside. Me and Mysonne are releasing February. So make sure y'all stay tuned to that. Everything Until Freedom got going on.
Street politicians.
Street politicians.
Yeah, you know,
Drink champs.
What is that? Why did y'all even think about doing a
Street
podcast?
politicians was something that N.O.R.E, I ain't even gonna lie to you, right? N.O.R.E was one of the first people that was like, yo, you need to do a podcast. And that's when I was doing so much other shit. I'm like, yeah. He like, nice. When you need to do a podcast, let me know. Tell me this. I'm like, all right. Yeah, don't worry about it. No, I'm doing a bunch of shit. And he like, Mike, just tell me I'm gonna do this. And he was consistent, right? And I wasn't so focused on it. But what happened was we started doing all this work, me, Tamika, and our organizations. And originally, Street Politicians was me, Tamika, and Carmen Perez, who was with the Justice League, and we started doing it that way.
Latina, a black woman, and a
You
black
know, and
man.
I was like, let's start it. And I was gonna reach out to you, right? So what happened was we started doing it a little bit. We fell off from it. Everybody, the podcast world went crazy. You became the biggest give it a round of applause for that. She became the biggest thing in fucking podcast history. And I'm like, damn. And Tamika was like, okay, yeah, we fucked up. Like I told you, our podcast is supposed to start before Joe Budden shit started. He started doing his. Everything went crazy. We started, but at that time we was doing a bunch of work, so we didn't get a chance to do it. But in this time that we had, like in the last year, I reached out to him like, yeah, we need to do this. And Carmen had moved to LA. She's supposed to be with us, and we like, yo, fuck, we just gonna do it ourselves. So we started doing this. We started doing this, and then when she did her speech for George Floyd, it went the biggest viral. they started realizing the leader that we all knew was there for years. You know, I tell her all the time, like, she's been the biggest, she's been our leader. Everybody starts saying, this our leader. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm glad y'all caught up because I've been through this.
She'll be the president.
Exactly. She definitely.
Never gonna run. Probably.
Wow.
She don't have to
Probably
run.
never.
I'm gonna make her run, so we just to make sure that
No, I'm not gonna run for office because you know what? I'm a hellraiser.
Exactly.
That's what we need.
No, but no, that's not true. See,
So I'm
y'all
gonna be honest,
are,
you know the next president we need a nigga. Like somebody
A
like
a nigga.
Look, see?
I'm sorry.
A nigga.
I didn't mean that, but you know what
Nah, but the thing
y'all.
about running for
Fuck me up.
president, the thing about running for president or running for any office is that you do have to compromise a lot. And we need that because we need people in office that can do that. But from my perspective, I've learned that I'm actually more effective being the person outside that's a bitch. But
you don't
people
like
don't
that
like.
fact that we can have Kanye, like if he was like,
Kanye,
not Kanye,
me and
that's a bad example.
You and I are gonna have a conversation.
But
about
like
this Kanye
Jay-Z,
thing.
like if Jay-Z was really interested and he wanted to run for California governor, I'm
no,
voting for the
and
nigga.
I
I'm gonna buy an apartment in the Soho House just to vote for the nigga.
No, but I love
Let's go home. You know what I'm saying?
I love Jay, and he knows it, and I love Jay.
Right.
But however, even he is not the nigga that you talking about.
Right. But even
Like
50
Jay-
Cent run for council of Queens.
50 Cent can't run for shit either.
Council of Queens. I'm
No,
buying a-
because
listen.
the problem with 50,
I'm fucking with
Isaac
No.
Wright. Isaac Wright is running for mayor of New
no,
York.
there are people who have been trained up.
That was the dude who did the bid.
The guy who they made the whole TV show about
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
He is running, like, I'm about to try to endorse him a little bit. I don't know yet. I got to
No,
look at
we
his
with
platform.
it. We with it. But
I want to.
50 is best where he is, telling black stories.
But support.
Jay is best where he is because Rhapsody said on our show on Street Politicians
So who's our
that
next leader?
she supports him.
Tamika is on there.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. You are
Tamika
next
is
leader,
not
sis.
no much the next leader.
But it's
not
not
so
the
much
next
the next
politician.
leader.
What happened to Gillum, man?
We are.
What the fuck happened
We
there?
are the next leader.
God bless Gillum. Amen.
Yeah, but you saw how crazy that shit was?
Andrew is
some
out
shit.
here. What are you talking about? Andrew is out here. He just did a show the other day. He's out here. Andrew is Andrew. Everybody got some shit.
One of
If
the
we
guys that was
pull
taking
back-
That was pretty wild. I mean, was it real?
I'm not saying it. I don't know about that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that regardless of what his situation was or was not, if you pull back the curtain on any of our lives,
Everybody's fucked up.
everybody got some
I hear
shit.
you. I hear you.
Everybody got some shit. And it's disingenuous for us to act like his shit is worse than our shit. Because if you really look at it, if you really look at our stuff, each and every one of us has something that we're dealing with that we're not telling the rest of the world. Everybody does. So Andrew Gillum is a smart black man. By the way, if he can't stand up to Andrew Gillum, if you put him alongside some of these white supremacists that's in office, why can't we have him?
My thing is this, and I'm gonna tell you what it is for me, right?
How about Russell?
What about
Let me know before.
Let's end it on this.
I'm gonna end it on
Yeah.
Russell. But the Andrew Gillum situation for me is stand on what you stand on, right? Be who you are. Like that's what me.
Y'all
that's
make
what
it hard to do that.
No, I don't want to.
It's hard to do that.
No, it's a lot
hard
of
to
people
do
that's
that.
I'm just saying, whatever.
Pete
This show is
Buttigieg, listen to
going
me.
into 6 hours long.
Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, we only got about
Pete
5 more minutes.
Buttigieg ran. Pete Buttigieg
But
ran his.
that's not the
whatever
case
it
for
is.
black men.
No.
Don't compare a white man to Andrew Gillum as a black man. Black people are not as accepting.
The problem is this.
No, you're not gonna just no. Black people are not as accepting of the LGBTQIA community. Period.
Okay.
We
So,
are.
so my thing is this. So listen to me.
I didn't know about that.
So if you made a conscious decision, right, that you willing to galvanize votes and support based on who you not, right?
No, that's not
on you.
true. That's
So
not
what do you
true.
mean?
Because ain't nobody voted for Andrew Gillum or even thought about
sexuality
voting for
is what
him
she's
based
saying.
upon his sexuality.
But that was
wasn't
so if
a
you did.
conversation.
And I don't think that was the only case of that
So if you
situation. Though. There was
say
some
that-
other weird shit.
Then why do you
What is
care?
some other weird shit?
No, that was the situation.
So you
Like
saying
some
that, then
weird-
why do you care?
Nah, that
Crack
was the
shit or some
situation.
weird
Nah,
drug
the
shit.
situation, the drug situation. Now I know Negroes ain't about to start talking about no drugs. I done sat here on this show and told my truth about being addicted to drugs. So we're not even gonna deal with the drugs. The issue is that he was caught in a situation that looked like he was sleeping with men.
Right.
And we, as a community, have to deal with the fact that our people been gay long time. We didn't just get gay last week or when the LGBTQIA community became poppin' and they got their rights. We've been gay for a long time, okay?
Like
there was
the Creed?
always Uncle So-and-so who was in the family that everybody knew was gay, but our communities does not allow for that to be taken to the bathroom.
We've been here for 2 hours. People gotta use the
We
bathroom.
do not
Especially when
allow
you're drinking
for
this.
we do not allow for
My bladder
that to be accepted the way in which it should, because that's why our young people kill each other or kill themselves. That's why black trans people being killed is a thing, because people are afraid to be their true selves. So if we're gonna say what Mysonne is saying, which I agree with, that be who you are, we also as a community have to allow space for people to be who they are.
I hear what you said. No, I don't have to. See, the thing is this, right? If you are waiting for somebody to accept who you are instead of making them accept who you are, that's your fault.
Well, that's true.
Right? You have to impose. Look, this is who I am. Like, I was in prison, right?
Let's take this last shot, because this
Take this shot.
is the Dave Chappelle wrap it up.
Is this quick time to
We gotta go.
We definitely gotta go.
right here with this.
Take the shot, though. Take the shot.
This is over.
Yeah,
We getting kicked out, as a matter of fact.
So listen, we get kicked out. What I'm trying to say is this: if you make a conscious decision, right, of who you are, make people accept who you are.
I agree.
Don't wait for.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying that there
cut me
has to
off,
be.
though.
I know, but I'm
This
sorry.
she does all the time. She politician.
But
I didn't do it today. I didn't do it today.
But Tamika,
it has to be a balance.
But to be honest with you, if he's a leader, he should lead in that way. That's to be honest with you.
I'm not disagreeing. All I am stating, so that two things can stand at the same time.
Absolutely.
Mysonne's statement and what you just said can stand, and we all agree with that. But what also has to be said in this space, and that also needs to stand, is that our people are dealing with the fear of coming out with who we are, because we are murdered for it. We are criticized for it, we're castigated for it, and we as a community have to accept the fact that being gay or being trans or being a part of the LGBTQIA community is who we always have had people that way, and we just have never really truly accepted it.
So
and
my thing is
respected
this: if that's who you are and you scared to lead in that, then you're not a leader.
Then you need to lead.
Then you need to
telling people be who you are,
No.
and telling your
No.
people. We're not even
Listen,
going to get into
if
this.
we
'cause
get- I
don't
this
think
is a
we're gonna
big
solve
battle.
this issue
Yeah,
We're
right
not
now.
gonna
big.
solve it.
This
Just
is big.
what I'm saying is be who you are, stand on what you stand on, win, lose, and
Andrew Gillum's still around, so he's still
Gillum
here.
is a leader,
He's still here.
and he's intelligent, and in fact, he would have been the best
No, he was out. He's
person
out. Like,
to
we-
be
we-
governor
yeah,
of
probably
Florida.
would. I thought he
Because
would've
guess
been
what?
great.
The alternative is that a white supremacist
Nah,
became
dude's
governor,
fucking up right now.
who, in my opinion, is okay with the fact that black people die every single day
That's
and
a
ain't gonna
fact.
do shit about
Right.
it. So I'd rather take Andrew Gillum anytime.
I'd rather not take him. I'd rather.
You want to take a picture? Let's take a picture.